Hello and welcome to PlayStation Unchained. You know, I know we got rid of numbers, but we're getting close to 250. Ooh, we're old.
Don't tell me that. Don't tell me it's...
Fine, I'm old. Everyone else here is kids. I've just time traveled them forward so they can talk, and then I'll send them back. I don't know if that's even worse, but okay.
I think there's an RPG plot point that's exactly that. I can't remember which one, though.
It's called Chrono Trigger.
Oh, yeah.
It's like one of my video games.
It's at least 6 ongoing anime series, I'm sure it'll be the same too.
Yeah.
Which you can check in the Problematic Sticker podcast. So, yeah, stuff has happened. It's the end of the year. And of course, at the end of the year, we've got to talk about games we liked, because by contract, we have to do it or we will be murdered. It's true.
Very true.
By the video game police.
That's why you always read the terms and service. You don't just skim through it and click, I agree.
Anyway,
You gotta read it. You're gonna end up as a human centipede.
That's a Chris here, and if you had read it and agreed, why are you here?
I didn't say I read it and agreed. I'm just saying, in hindsight, it's important to read those things so you don't end up like us.
Yes.
Or read it so you can become like us.
Chris,
Yo,
I was trying to introduce you with that.
and you did a great job, and that's why I responded.
How you
Because you
doing, man?
introduced it so wonderfully. I am doing fantastic, which is a far cry from, well, not doing so well, I suppose.
Far Cry New Dawn from 29.
Yeah. You know what? I should have saved that because I could have led into it with our with something somehow. But yeah. I'm here and I'm glad to be here, and I'm happy that we have some people back too that I have sorely missed.
Oh yes.
And yeah, I'm excited for this one. So,
Garri, how are you doing, my mate?
I'm just peachy, man. I'm just peachy. I'm
If you
excited
hate
to be
video
here.
games, is it like your I hate video games of the year?
It's the Razzie Awards to me.
I think that should be it. Gary should just pick the bad ones for the year.
No, that's my job, because I already have a game I'm picking that everyone else in the world will hate. It's gonna be
I was
glorious.
looking through Metacritic with their top 10 worst games of the year by score, and it's like, I reviewed that.
Hey, but, you know, at least we all know that Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 is still number 2 as the greatest game of all time.
Still undefeated. All this.
And we've got our greatest fan and greatest friend, and one of the people that we miss a lot on this show, Alfonso.
I'm back. It's good to be back. I missed you all. It's been a long time, a hard long time, knowing that I'm hearing the podcast for weeks on, and it's like I wish I could be back. So I'm finally happy. Today was the day that God and Ben's magical God powers let it happen.
Yes. Fonzie's back, bitches.
That's right.
Welcome back, man. We missed you.
I miss y'all too.
And another person's come back for this show because we missed him and called upon him with satanic powers. Neil Bolt.
Ahoy! I am here.
Now my MP's drained for a year.
Sailing in.
My MP's drained after 16 pumps, but
Nothing has changed.
You really think anything could have changed in this year? Nah.
This is it. Like I said, just listening to the podcast now and again, still, it's like being there. You know, it's like the only difference is I can't interject or steer the conversation.
You probably do what I do when I listen to podcasts I'm sometimes on. That you end up starting to talk and then realise, oh no, they can't hear me.
Yeah, it's almost that.
I've only done it a couple of times, but I have done it. It's like, no,
I mean,
that's
you
wrong.
can-
Don't do that. No, don't say that.
Neil, you can just go download the podcast, edit yourself into it, and that way it's like you never left.
The bootleg Unchained. I like it.
and then go promote it. It's like, hey, I was on
Unwinded.
Unchained.
PlayStation Unwinded.
Well, see, what he's going to do is he's going to do that, but he's going to edit us saying answers to things that we didn't actually answer. Hey, Chris, do you like dog dick? Why, yes, I think that is a very good idea. Like, yeah.
Oh, dude, if I had the time. Seriously.
Ben's
be great.
Ben's voice is just replaced by someone quacking.
Quack,
Quack, quack. So,
anything on Final Fantasy, Ben? Quack, 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 quack. That's very interesting, Ben.
So, games of the year.
Yes,
I heard that
there've
some
been-
video games came out this year.
Some, you'd be like, wow, did that come out?
I think like four. Four games came out?
Yeah,
Wow.
I mean, according to my OpenCritic page, the year ended in August, and I never reviewed anything again. So,
Yeah, that's when the year ended.
so clearly, given how many reviews I've done, that's it. You can't count anything that came out after.
I didn't think there was anything out after August. What was it, October? Of course. Yeah.
No, August. There was no.
What games came out after August?
Wow, Ben. Wow.
Most, I think, was the answer.
I want to go with ID stealing the game, and so I guess we should talk about games of the year.
Sure.
I guess because everyone else is
Okay.
doing it, so we might as well jump on the bandwagon.
That's
Because
it. And
why not?
Next week's too close to Christmas, so why not now?
Yeah. Okay, who wants to go first with their first game of the year? Garri.
Gary.
Yeah.
I get to go first?
You get to go first.
Well, in no particular order. I think we're just going to do the round table. We'll just talk about a game.
Yeah,
each,
talk about
I
one
guess.
first and then go to the next person and so forth.
Yeah, Dragon Quest XI, Echoes
Okay.
of an Elusive Age. Wow. It's my first 10 out of 10 game that I reviewed. Fully deserved, in my opinion. I've always been a huge Dragon Quest fan, more so than Final Fantasy. I wish they would come out in the same, I guess, quantity. But it's the first return to single player Dragon Quest since Dragon Quest VIII back on the PS2.
Wow.
It's been a long time, and it doesn't disappoint. It really doesn't. It's a very long development cycle for that team, and everything that it does is just so exquisitely masterful. It's like they take something so simple, like an old school traditional turn-based battle system, and improve it by allowing you to have preset attacks for each character, so you don't even have to worry about fighting. You can just run into an enemy and the AI will do all the work for you. I wish Tim was here to talk about it as well, because he absolutely loved that about the combat system. But it's all the little things that it does. When you walk into a town and you see that people are all alive, like they're living in this town. It's not like they're just walking around with a preset path. You see them talking and having conversations and drinking and eating. There's parties going on the street, the festivities. And it's these small details that just make you feel like you're part of that world. And, Akira Toriyama's art style, once again, is just so distinctive in Dragon Quest XI that it's just so beautiful to look at. With even when you even look at the monsters, where the thing about Dragon Quest that's always been so great is they're able to use the exact same monsters like Final Fantasy does, but in Final Fantasy they kind of give them these huge makeovers and changes. Dragon Quest really doesn't do that, but they're still able to keep them, I guess, threatening in the way that they're supposed to be. Yeah, you have your slimes, which are the traditional easy enemies, but for those who remember who have played Dragon Quest in the past, some of the later enemies can be kind of terrifying to look at. and they keep them in this same type of art style, and they're also including more enemies, and it's just everything about it just resonated with me, and I wish more people had the chance to play it, because Dragon Quest is always kind of overlooked when it comes out, and in a way it's kind of their fault, because they always seem to release a Dragon Quest game either during the busiest times or when there are major releases coming out, and it kind of hurts their sales. But
yeah, it's very true, because I even with 8, at the time it came out for me, it was not only was it a busy time in terms of games, but
you got to remember also, Neil, 8 was our first Dragon Quest.
I know, this is it, and I ordered it, and just Garri, you just reminded me to order Dragon Quest 11, because it was still in my back of my mind, and so I've just gone and ordered it while you were talking.
Yay!
Yeah, because Dragon Quest 8 is one of my favorite RPGs.
Jessica's the best.
So
and it's a lot of the music, the art style I talked about, the enemy designs, even the stories are so well told. Even though they're stories we've seen and played and experienced years and years ago, they're simple stories, but yet it's the presentation and how they're presented that is just so well done. And that team is so dedicated, and they love their fans. I mean, Dragon Quest is so huge in Japan, they have to freaking release the game on Saturdays because people would not go to school or work because they're going and playing Dragon Quest. It's like a law that they have. Like, if a Dragon Quest game comes out in Japan, it has to come out on a Saturday. It's insane how huge it is over there. I wish that same love for it, maybe not to those extremes, would be replicated here. And I think they try very hard.
That's the problem now, right? So, but it has to compete with Final Fantasy and Kingdom Hearts. Yeah, Kingdom Hearts puts out less games than Dragon Quest, and look how much excitement there is and talk there is about it every time any game comes out. Even when it's the same game for the 5th, 6th, 7th, or 8th time, it still has far more talk about it online than a Dragon Quest, which is so annoying, because even with this big gap between 8 and 11, like that, we've had the Builders series, the Hero series, so we've had a whole bunch of games that have been really charming and great. I mean, last year I think you picked Dragon Quest Builders when that came out as one of your games of the year.
Yeah, it was a great game. It was Minecraft and with a story. That's pretty much what it was, and it was great. It had direction. It allowed you to build, small and go big. Whereas in Minecraft, it's like, here you are, go do whatever the hell you want without no direction. And that's why I love Builders so much, is because it gave you direction.
Yeah, it does. Very good in that regard. And even the Heroes games are quite fun for Musos. They're one of the more enjoyable Muso games out there. And so, yeah, it's a series that deserves more. It's sort of kind of like Yakuza. It bubbled under for a long time, but Dragon Quest, it just hasn't quite had that bump like Yakuza did. Little renaissance, but that's probably because, like I said, in this country, I know as Bentos, we just don't get it very often here. And
yeah, that's a shame. It's in a way, it's kind of like Monster
that
Hunter.
Period back then where we didn't really get RPGs from anyone, to be honest. It wasn't until like the PS1 where RPGs even became a genre in England, at least in Europe.
Yeah, I mean, and even then, you'd get those much later because
Oh, yeah. I remember waiting like a year and a half, I think it was, for Final Fantasy 8.
People screech about like 3 days difference between countries these days, and it's like, try waiting 18 months for a fucking game.
And then technically, people say, £50 is so expensive. I'm like, look, I'll show you my box copy of Sonic 3D, which still actually has the price on it, which was £70.
Yeesh.
And I was in the 90s, so.
N64 games were $80 where I lived here.
I remember seeing Donkey Kong, the N64 being £100.
Jeez.
And you got to remember that was when £1 equaled $2.
Yeah. Definitely ain't that now.
No, it's not that now. £1 might equal $1.
But yeah, Dragon Quest XI. I put over 200 hours into that game, and I still haven't done everything. There's an insane amount of content in that game, and kudos to them because everything just functioned properly. I believe they released one patch at a much later date after the game came out to fix some. I believe it was a save issue people were having, but other than that, it was a flawless game to me. And as fans of JRPGs in particular, I think definitely need to play Dragon Quest XI because it is a masterpiece, and I called it probably the best RPG or JRPG I've ever played, and it kind of is.
Your quote exactly was possibly the greatest RPG of all time.
Yeah,
and that they used that in the what do they call it? The accolades.
It was in a lot of promotions. Yeah. I stand by that. Through and through, I had a huge smile on my face. There are some parts where I was sad because story sequences happened. There's definitely going to be some heartbreak in there, but it's just a phenomenal game that people definitely need to pick up and try out.
Good call. Like it's one of those I had to catch up with. I'm not going to catch up with it this year. By the time I get it, I've still got other games to finish, but it's definitely on the list to catch up with. I say that now, and I'll be like, "Oh, January, I'm doing well with this," and then, "Oh shit!"
But the great thing is, it is coming to the Switch. So,
but is it? To be fair though, you got to remember though, the original Switch version was going to be based on the 3DS, wasn't it?
No.
They had 9, wasn't it? Or 8.
No, they announced it as Dragon Quest XI S.
Yeah.
So people thought it was going to make the small version, but they have refuted multiple times that they're saying this is going to be the full Dragon Quest XI experience on the Switch.
I believe they're more than anyone making a Final Fantasy. I'll put it that way. Yeah.
I guess we'll go to Chris now.
Oh boy. So, game of the year? I hate to say it this year, I haven't played a whole lot of games. Like, I haven't even checked out the new Spider-Man or RDR2 yet, so I'm... Forgive me if I'm a little out of touch with current number ones. However, for me, the game that I did play this year, that is going to be my game of the year, is God of War. It was just such a
good
beautifully...
choice, boy.
Yeah. It was just such a and not to take anything away from Dragon Quest, but I think there's a certain niche group that loves both of those games, like me and Garri. God of War is, I think, more appealing to the masses for obvious reasons, which we just talked about. How Dragon Quest is kind of like God of War over in Japan. For us here, it's almost seems I guess everybody here is into Fortnite now, but in the US, I mean. But yeah, God of War just had everything just felt so perfect about it, and we discussed this before about how heavy the combat felt, and you could feel the Kratos' strength basically in your hands, with the heavy hits of the axe down to the animations, to the storyline, to the twists and turns. I mean, it's showing that you can take an old franchise, make a bunch of sequels and prequels in that, and still reinvent it and bring it forward into a new era, into a new light, change everything for the better. And we've seen that with a couple franchises this year. I haven't had a chance to play Assassin's Creed Odyssey, but it sounds like that's a great contender for Game of the Year as well, because of how they've reinvented the Assassin's Creed brand that was even better than Origins. I haven't played it, but you guys here that have, well, how was it?
Yeah.
It was,
from the little I played, about maybe 3 hours, I think it's a great and tremendous improvement.
Yeah.
Going full RPG now is the best thing that franchise could have done.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it came out not far enough away from Red Dead. I mean, where it was like, I wanted to finish it before Red Dead came out because I knew it would be very difficult to go back. It has proved to be the case. But then I finished neither, so it's like, I played a significant amount of both. But yeah, Odyssey is very, very, very
Yeah,
good.
yeah. And so there's another good point too. Rockstar still knocking it out of the park with RDR2. It's I feel like a lot of the games of the year on this account are real improvements on series that we've grown and loved, and not just another year, another Call of Duty, or another year, another Assassin's Creed, or whatever. Like, we got some really quality games this year, and I can only throw my name in the hat for God of War this year because I haven't had a chance to play some of the other big blockbusters. But I mean, yeah, that would be my first choice and really only choice in the matter.
Tim, wow, Chris.
We're blending together finally.
It's true. No, the thing about God of War is everything was against that game. Like, when they first showed it off and it was behind the shoulder camera and Kratos doesn't have his chains of Olympus anymore, it's an axe. People thought it was going to be this huge escort mission. Like, people were really against it.
Oh, yeah.
And nobody really thought what we got was what we were going to get.
Which is funny because it wasn't the only game that happened this year, because you remember the Spider-Man puddle controversy.
Oh my god! No!
Which, now, doesn't the game have a puddle filter as well in photo mode?
Yeah.
You now, too, can add extra puddles.
It shows how daft the knee-jerk it can be on social media.
But yeah, everything was against it, and it battled through all these odds. And Cory Balrog, after his, work on God of War 2, he was so dead and tired. Like, he quit making games after God of War 2. And he just barely came back, and he's like, okay, let's do God of War again. And, you hear all the things and all the talk about how Sony was going to cancel God of War because it was in terrible shape. Shuei Yoshida, I believe, said it, that he was not looking forward to it at all, and they wanted to cancel it. And they didn't. They stuck with him. He gave us probably the best God of War game ever made.
Oh, here's a little fact, by the way, that I remember that not many people might know. You know that God of War originally started off as a Microsoft game. They pitched it to Microsoft before they pitched it to Sony, but Microsoft turned it down. I can't remember the exact reason why, but Microsoft turned down the first God of War.
Because it wasn't another Halo, probably?
No, it was something to do. It was too much like another franchise.
Oh my god!
But don't worry, they have that game with a Roman soldier in it, so that's fine.
Yeah.
What was it, Rise?
Riz.
I
don't know.
No, but
the fact we're debating it says a lot.
Yep.
Steve the Roman was my favorite Roman.
Yeah, what they're able to accomplish with this new God of War is not something I could see them accomplishing with how they were planning. Like, the combat obviously was the big thing. You looked at it and you're like, oh man, it's not going to be this brutal, visceral, fast-paced combat anymore. And it may not have been as fast-paced as the old God of Wars, but it was still brutal, visceral, and it worked tremendously well.
Yeah. Well, yeah. See, that's what I mean. The heaviness. The combat was so flawless. You just felt every single attack. Like, they got the animation, the sound, the execution, everything was just so fine-tuned to deliver that experience that's you could see where that extra time went, and it paid off. And it was still brutal as hell. Executing the what were they? The werewolf dudes, like when he grabbed him from the jaw and basically ripped the jaw off along with the front of his chest. Like,
and that's like the most. Yeah, that's the most violent kill he has. Like, he's not as viciously violent. Like, he's not tearing out eyeballs and stuff like that. But it's still, like you said, it feels so brutal because of the sound design and the animations. Like you said, the heaviness, it still feels super violent, even though visually it's not as violent as it was in the past.
But again, good there, because with the story itself, they make that tie-in of why he's not as violent.
He's got to pet his boy.
Yeah, he was to set the example that Christ, he's holding back a lot of that game, and that is what's so masterful about the story with God of War is that he's never quite punching his weight, so to speak, and
he's just an old, tired, angry, still kind of angry god, and he's just done with all this shit.
No, he just wants to live his life, and nobody's letting him just be him. Nobody's letting him just be peaceful.
He just wants to go fish and relax in the wilderness.
See, God of War did another thing too that I want to touch on. That it's, I love games. See, Garri and I talk about like little stuff in games all the time, but I love games that. We used to have things like environmental kills a lot in games, and you don't see that as much anymore. But God of War in the what were they? The mists, the mist area. I forget what it was called. That you could actually use traps against enemies. Like I had a witch teleport away from me into one of like the slamming wall traps in there, and she warped back there and then got crushed. I saved the video. I've been meaning to upload. I was dying laughing. Just like, oh my god, she killed her. She was giving me such problems. Like, I just couldn't fucking hit her. This one witch was just driving me mad. And to see that and get that kind of, like, refreshing, just vindictive nature. Oh, dude. And games that allow for things like that, like Red Dead Redemption and Red Dead Redemption 2. The randomness of it. The random chance. A lot of our number one games of all time seem to have kind of that common thing. And I just wanted to bring it up because things like that are what really help add to the game and give it that extra nudge to, like, perfect 10s, I feel. And they are, the little things like that. So, that you have a certain set of rules that apply to everybody. And you don't have, like, bad glitches that why didn't this kill that enemy, or why didn't this work when it should have been consistently working? Like, these perfect games that have been coming out, these ones we're talking about for Game of the Year, have that, in addition to everything else that we're loving about it. And so by far, I don't think us, like always, any criticisms of any of these games of the year fall short of taking away from the experience. So I don't think it's unfair of us to say that Dragon Quest 11 was a perfect 10, or that God of War was a 9.5 or perfect 10. And so that's why it's really hard to compare all of these, even to ones that I haven't played.
Oh, definitely.
Just my 2 cents on it. But yeah, dude, just that's God of War, man. That was just a triumph. And I feel it's deserving of Game of the Year for sure.
I will add to that. And you were talking about details. And one of my favorite details in any game is how the soundtrack is incorporated into this. Yes. I think we talked about this a while back, but particularly the fight with the dragon in that game, the way the soundtrack kicks in just at the end of that fight in the right way is just it's an air punch sort of moment. Sort of soundtrack, the way it clicks is amazing, and the game is full of little moments like that where the soundtrack just does beautiful things with what is going on in the story or a set piece. And yeah,
and sound design is its own art form too. Any type of sound design. I mean, my God, can you imagine trying to create scores of original tracks and then you have the Foley artists coming in with all their sounds, and then you as the sound designer in the engine have to put this all together and get the timing perfect with the programmers and that. There's just such a beautiful art and a balance of teamwork here to create these masterpieces that, don't ever let it go unnoticed that you as a game player, that's why we love it. We appreciate these forms of art.
Yeah, I mean, it elevates many a game for me to have that sort of soundtrack. It just,
in my opinion, that's why I know it's a different game, but that's why Soken from the Fantasy 14 development team is probably, in my opinion, one of the best developers I ever know, because he's done pretty much every song in that game, and they have like thousands. And he's it's like, holy shit, that job's just crazy. And he also did a video about him fighting a robot to sell a pencil. So that also made me happy. Yeah, I saw it. I can't find the video link, but it's like these people dressed in like really like cardboardy style robots, and they start attacking him, and he's like, "Go buy these pencils," and then starts fighting the robots.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, it's probably one of the better soundtracks of the year. I have to say, or scores in general. That's without a doubt, and that again just helps elevate an already great game to the level where it's been neck and neck with that this year for me in terms of being game of the year. I mean, in terms of games I finished, definitely game of the year. But yeah, it is fantastic as a whole. That game.
Oh yeah. That's all I've got for like any of my viable game of the year input, because like I said, I haven't played that much else. But yeah, I guess
it's all right, Chris. I've got like 80 games.
Don't worry, I'm going to pick indie games. So it's fine.
Oh my god,
really good.
backlogs, dude! The backlog just keeps growing and growing and growing. Oh, I do want to throw a shout out for Fighter of the Year. Dragon. Whoa! Okay.
No,
we'll wait.
One per turn.
One per turn.
Yes, fine. I will shut up.
I'll let you have the fighter. I probably know what it is.
Yeah.
Don't you damn well fucking go saying, "Oh, I haven't got any games," and then try and pick 2. Come on.
I don't have any games except for these 10.
Okay, sorry. It wasn't that was the only. I just forgot about it until I looked back over at my little list.
I don't have any games except for these 10 that I'm going to list in order.
Oh my god.
Tis.
I apologize. Please continue.
Alfonso.
My pick is Marvel Spider-Man.
Da-da-da.
I was going to pick God of War, but we know what we expect from God of War. It's Kratos. Even though he got toned down, he's still going to be a violent person who's going to wreck everything that he sees. I was a little skeptical with Spider-Man because we know what's under Insomniac's belt. Spyro and Ratchet and Resistance. So wasn't too sure about it, but seeing what Guerrilla did with Horizon, I started to be more positive, and they hit it out the park. To me, it's a perfect 10 out of 10. There's no bad moments in that game. A lot of shocking moments, surprise moments that made me feel very emotional towards the end. Mm-hmm. I love the variety of suits that they give you, and each suit has their own ability, like their own special skill. That was a nice twist. It's one of the best Spider-Man games I played because it reminds me a lot of Spider-Man 2, based off the swinging mechanics. They referenced that a lot. There was a lot of hints that they throw towards between Spider-Man 2 and Spider-Man 3. The story was great from beginning to end. I didn't like the little side missions with Mary Jane and Miles that was tedious and boring, and the hacking mechanics that you have to use to help Peter figure out formulas and other stuff like that. That was also boring. Usually I just skip it because it was getting frustrating. Y'all already know I do not like puzzles. I hate puzzles. They take too much time.
Crazy. That's crazy. I have to say.
Are you Tim?
Tim knows it. Tim knows this. Tim knows it, yeah. But I like that they followed the route Horizon. They added DLC. I didn't get to finish. I'm still like in the mid of DLC number 2. I didn't get it finished because another game is taking up my time. Smash, Garri, you know what I'm talking about. But
represent.
Yeah, I love it. I recommend anyone who hasn't played it, go and play it. It's a brilliant game.
We're talking Spider-Man or Smash?
Why not both?
Spider-Man.
Why not both?
I need to go back.
That sounds like a fun game, Spider-Man or Smash. Hey, Neil, Spider-Man or Smash?
Oh, yeah, it depends on my mood, really. Yeah. They're both very sexual acts.
Yes. Yes.
Wait, Spider-Man was just... It was the only game that lived up to expectations in some ways. So, yeah, some games went above, some went below, but that game was just like... hit the spot. It wasn't perfect. It is very, in terms of its structure, it is very much like many other games. but it has that swinging. It has Spider-Man. It has that history to it, and it makes it fun to play. You know, that gets left behind in a lot of end of year lists. Is, you know, oh yeah, this game had a rich narrative. Blah. You know, this is a game that was fun to play. That's the whole point of games, is being fun. Sometimes I know not every game has to be fun in order to be a great game, but this was a joyous trip. You know, it made it worth going through and worth going for that platinum. It's no wonder it's one of the most platinum games out there, you know, in terms of, because it just compels you to do it. It was so easy to go through and have fun with, and I regret no time spent with that game. And yet it's still like not even the best.
Recording because I don't think I'm part of the old one. I'm still having issues. Let me know if y'all get this.
Okay.
What
was that, Garri?
I won't be able to record this. Okay.
Wait, what happened?
About shoes and not being able to record it.
Yeah, something came up on your audio there, mate.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was.
Really? My mic was muted. You hear me now?
Like it unmuted, and we heard, I don't know if you'll hear this recording, but I want you to know, or something like that.
Yeah.
What the hell? My mute button's not working.
What's going on, Garri?
My bad. I'm sorry.
I don't want to record this, but we recorded it. Oh no! Twists!
Oh, the mute button on my microphone is not working with Discord. That's weird. I wonder why that is. I'm sorry about that. Please continue.
No, it added entertainment. It's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, anyway, as I was saying, it's not even the best Spider-Man thing of the year, but that's just because it's been a very good year for Spider-Man. You know, his inclusion in Infinity War was very impactful, and Into the Spider-Verse.
I don't feel very good, Neil.
What? Yeah.
I don't feel very good, Neil.
Well, you know what, Ben? I feel very good about Into the Spider-Verse,
which is in cinemas right now. Go check it out.
Yeah, it's fucking fantastic.
Unless you live in Scarborough, then go check it out in 2020.
It's better than that Flash Gordon ripoff that's called Aquaman. So that's all you need to know.
Oh my god.
Wait there, Aquaman's a Flash Gordon ripoff.
In the sense that it is awful enough to be cheesy and can be good.
I kind of want to see it now, but I'm not going to because I'm lazy. Aqua! Favour of the fishies!
I'm sorry. A small aside, but I know that there are DC fans that are really over the top about how good movies are. Batman versus Superman.
Yeah.
But yeah,
when I mute myself, that doesn't mean I mute the mic from you guys.
Look at Garri getting all 1930s New York gangster there. Users. But yeah,
every DC movie ever made.
But I honestly saw someone earlier go, "This could be kids of this generation. It could be their Star Wars." It's like, really? Come on. So it's fun, but no. So yeah, it's like a very low bar was set with, and this jumps over it without knocking the bar, despite kicking the bar with its foot. So yeah, it's far. Anyway, and aside. Anyway, yeah, Spider-Man, the game, very good. Good fun. Somehow, probably not in my top 10 of the year. But then, like I said, 80 odd games this year. So understandable that it wouldn't be quite up there. Anyway, anyone else wants anything to say on the old Spider-Man?
I would, but I'd get attacked.
Spider-Man.
No, Garri, please.
No, I don't want to.
Do it, Garri. Say words.
Neil, it's your turn.
It is my turn, isn't it? Yeah. I suppose I should have a turn. That is fair. I am here. Ooh, what do I pick? I've got so many. I don't know whether to pick the the obscure ones or not. Okay. I mean, I know I can't pick some because they're Switch games or PC games. So
Sure you can. It doesn't matter, though.
Well, it does for a podcast exclusively about
My
PlayStation.
game of the year this year was Super Mario Galaxy.
I tell you what, here too.
I sure did like the gears.
Right, so one of my picks in terms of games, let's go for Tetris Effect first, I think, as my first pick. Because it's very easy to forget it, despite getting such rave reviews and everyone loving it. Wow, even without the VR, it's the perfect reinvention of Tetris, which is a hard thing to do because Tetris itself is very pure and honestly one of the best video games ever, simply on the fact that it is flawless in its design. You can't really, technically, you're not supposed to be able to better Tetris. And here they don't try that really. It's like, here is Tetris. We had a little thing here and there. We know we can't mess with that too much, but we can add to it. And adding to it here is taking lumines or luminaires, whatever you want to call it, and putting that into the mix in terms of Tetris to a soundtrack, and putting it that way, and just having the visuals represent that. The VR is the icing on the cake. It goes from being a really fucking good game of Tetris to being a euphoric game of Tetris. A thing that is like, bloody hell, this is something I've never experienced in my life before. This is amazing. And it's fucking Tetris. It's Tetris. And I'm here in 2018 screaming, this is Tetris. And it's one of the games of the year. How is that possible? And it's not like it's saying a detriment to the game that came out this year.
Well, I think Garri might have a theory.
What?
As to why that is the case for Neil, that he's screaming, it's Tetris in 2018. Why would that be, Garri?
Because it's
I don't
Tetris.
know. Why would that be? Yeah, I mean, he already talked about it. Tetris. no, What, you want to say because it's Russian?
No.
Tell us, man who came from Russia, about the Tetris game. You must know the people who made it.
No,
for once, making fun of your culture was not part of my joke here. No, you love Tetris.
Yes, I do.
I love hearing you talk about Tetris all the time, anytime. And you have said multiple times that Tetris is the greatest puzzle game of all time. Yes. And like what Neil's saying right here is a testament to that. A testament to this never dying thing that will probably go down in generations like chess or Go, where it's just something that lives on now forever, long after we're dead.
Yeah.
I can't wait till 8K Tetris.
It's true, man. I've always said it. Tetris, in my opinion, is the greatest puzzle game ever made. And like you've said, like every year, like Nintendo has done Tetris with their Mario games. They had it on the DS, and that was still fun.
Sonic had Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine. No, that's more poo-poo.
I think I brought it up a couple of years ago when I said Puyo Tetris was just a great game, even though it was a mix of things, because I have a soft spot for Puyo anyway, and Tetris as well is then there, and it melds quite beautifully together. But this is just like a whole other level.
Yeah, it's a flawless design of blocks falling and you putting them in the positions to destroy, a solid layer. Like, its design is flawless, and you can try to add stuff to it, but in a way, sometimes it breaks that flawless design and it gets in the way of it.
See Ubisoft's last attempt at doing Tetris, which was
awful.
awful.
But they also added microtransactions, so... Do you want to buy a left block?
They didn't. Come on, Ben. Don't be nuts.
Oh God, can you imagine that? 99 cents
It did
per straight line.
The mobile version did have microtransactions, though.
I was talking about the PS4 version that came out. That
okay.
was
the one I tried to wipe from my memory.
Yeah, it was a broken game, to be honest. And how do you break Tetris? It's because you meddle with it in the wrong ways, not by adding anything to it, but by taking away. And that was the problem with Ubisoft's version of it. Here, it's like, we won't mess with Tetris as it is. It's still there, but we'll add a few aesthetic things. And it really works because they add this whole audio-visual element to it that just makes it something captivating, spellbinding even. And like I said, with the VR, it's just, you have to actually play it to really understand. And I saw it on Twitter in the weeks after it came out with people who are very cynical about it going, all right, it's Tetris. How could it be this great like that? And I mean, it was an ongoing joke a couple of people made on their Twitters, where me before I played Tetris Effect, it's like, come on, it's just Tetris. How can it be this? And then afterwards, it's like, oh my God, my life has changed. That sort of thing. It's honestly just jaw-dropping how fantastic that game becomes. And I'm a sucker for puzzle games with a soundtrack. That's why I like Lumens. That's why I like Chime and Chime Sharp, that sort of stuff, because I love puzzle games that are soundtrack based. And this just outstrips anything that's been done before in that sort of cross genre thing. And yeah, I was hopeful for it. Again, another game like we were saying recently. Another game I was very hopeful for, very happy that it turned out all right, but just never ready for how bloody well it turned out. It was just
how can you? It's over a 30-year-old game. Like, how can you expect it to still captivate people? And they've done it.
But it's because it had the help of probably the maker of the best modern puzzle game in Lumine series, to help make it. And that's why it's so good, because it's someone who understands puzzle games, who is influenced by Tetris, making a game of Tetris with their own ideas and style and putting the two together so beautiful that, like I said before, the fact that it merged well with Puyo Puyo, and that was a fun game, not always great, but it worked really well. Here, it's like, wow, it's the peanut butter and jelly, I suppose, if you will, for American audiences. It's just like, you can't believe no one thought to put these things together before. And yeah, it is the proper evolution of a game, as you say, Garri, that is 30 years old. And that's amazing, because not many games get that. I think Pac-Man's had its moment, where it's been reborn. Even Mario has, in his 2D space, has been reborn and done new things with it. But this is, for something so simple, it's amazing how well this was done. And yeah, in a good year for VR, this game is good anyway, but adding that VR element just makes it one of the best VR experiences out there. Headphones on, VR headset on, honest to God, you will be changed by the experience that is Tetris Effect. That's the way I feel about it. And that's all I've got to say about it, because I'll just be repeating myself over and over again.
It's a fitting name for it, too, the Tetris Effect.
Yeah. And you know what?
Such a perfect fit for that game. Because it is. It's an effect. It captivates you. It's an effect. Yeah.
But it also works on the level of what the Tetris Effect actually is.
Yeah. And again, a soundtrack that just does the job. Really hits home and does everything you would hope for. And again, like I said, I'm a sucker for a great soundtrack in a game, and that soundtrack is just probably my favorite soundtrack, without a shadow of a doubt. So yeah, that's my first pick.
For those of you that don't know what the Tetris Effect is, it's also known as Tetris Syndrome, and where if you do something so much you start to see those same patterns in your life, like visually, and you have dreams about it and shit like that. You know, you start to have dreams of work and shit, but it comes from Tetris because that was like the most pronounced effect on people. So to name such a great game after something that itself made culturally relevant over 30 years ago, I think was just everything was perfect about this game and its release. I just love layers on layers of references, and these guys know what they're doing, like you said, Neil. It was just I haven't had a chance to play it yet, but you've absolutely sold me on it with your passion about it. I really want to check it out now.
Yeah, it just in a very good year, and there were just so many good games this year. It's the most surprising because, like I said, you know Tetris will be good if done right, but for it to just transcend like this is
like if that game ever comes to Switch, I don't think I'll play any other. Like that'll always be on my Switch, playing all the time.
Definitely, like I said, even without the VR, it's a very good game. Whoever said that, I agree with you. Whatever you said. Yeah, that's my. So I suppose we're going around again for the next.
Ben, we forgot Ben.
Sorry,
the host
Ben.
doesn't get pick a game. It's fine.
No.
I haven't played many games this year, as people know, but I'm going to go with Kabounce. Kabounce. It's a small, like, indie developed game where you play like a basically a pinball. You got to go around the track trying to hit the like bumpers. But the opponent's team can smash into you to try and steal your points off you, and they can also bump into the bumpers to steal your claim. Kind of like the old skate stuff in Tony Hawk's, but with PvP included, and you play a ball. So it's a shame it seems so dead on PlayStation, but it is one of the first games I know of that does have it's one of the few games that has cross-play support with the PC. So even though it's an indie game, it does have cross-play. I do recommend anyone to check it out because they do free weekends. And even though it's an indie game, they've supported it with so many updates and free. Yes, it has loot boxes or loot balls, but you cannot purchase that with those with real money. And that's still the same like 6+ months later. So, yeah. It's a good game that I do recommend everyone checking out. It's often free on Steam. I think they've got a free weekend coming up soon. And it had a discount on Plus for a while. So, yeah. Good game.
It is. Unfortunately, I don't think anyone else has played it here.
No, I don't think so. But the developers...
I've only watched Chille play it a couple times on Twitch. That's it.
Which is good, though. You know, we have a game that is not seen as much in this list, which makes sense.
I want to give it a shout out because it deserves it. It's got its flaws, but it's a fun game I like to go back to every so often.
Agreed. That's fine. That's the way you should do it. That's it. Yeah. In these sort of games.
Like right now, they've got a Christmas event where if you look, there's 31 days, as a calendar sort of thing, and every time you can open the calendar to get a free gift. Or sometimes there might be a challenge to unlock it. Like today was win 3 matches online, and then you get a gift. So,
yeah, can't complain with that. So I suppose we move around next round.
Back to Garri.
Back to Garri. Oh, let's see here. The big one. Oh, I'm going to go with Astrobot Rescue Mission.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're talking... That is a game that, again, up there in a very good...
Sony, if you're looking for a system seller, this is it, in my opinion. Astrobot is the Super Mario game that PlayStation has always needed, and they got it here. You play as a little robot trying to rescue his little friends after an alien destroys your ship, and you travel to a whole bunch of exotic worlds, finding all of them and defeating the bosses of those worlds. And it's just such a blast to play. And the VR is so well done, and the way it just works through and through. Your controller is a virtual controller in the game. that has so many different functions. You can shoot out a grappling hook with it, or it has a water cannon that you can use. You just hold the touchpad, and you see it. You see your PS4 controller in the game, and it's just one of those incredible design decisions and these small touches that game has. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous looking game in VR.
Very much so.
The water effects, all the little things, the little monsters they have that you can face off against. You can punch them, you can jump on some of them. It's just an incredibly well-designed game. And it's a spin-off game. It's a spin-off game from the Playroom. With the little Astrobots. And they took something that people loved as a small little mini game, and they turned it into a full-on game. And they succeeded. And it's one of those games where every time I look at it and I think about it, I'm like, if they had a season pass for this game, I would give them the money for it, because I just want more of it. And it's not like it doesn't have enough content. It has plenty of levels for you to get through, but I just want more.
Yeah.
I want to keep playing more. I got the Platinum Trophy. I was one of the first ones to get the Platinum Trophy before even the embargo review came out. And I was like so devastated because I wanted to do more. And you've played it, Neil.
Oh, man. It's just so good. It's like, and I think again, like I was saying with Tetris Effect, until you've actually played it yourself in VR, it's really hard to get across how VR really enhances it. You know, it just really works. People are very down on third-person VR games because, like, well, you want to be in the experience. It's like, no, this works because you're there, but you're not the player. You know, you're the character is there, you control them, and things are going on around you. The fact that you can look back for secrets and look around this, just it's nuts as a game. It's very simple, and you know, the Playroom segment that inspired it is one of my favorite VR things. You know, and to have a whole game of it that just goes beyond what we had in that is just amazing. It's just outstanding. You know, for a platformer to be this great in this day and age that isn't, you know, Mario really, you know, or even Rayman. It's just crazy.
Those little Astrobots are so freaking adorable too that they should be Sony's new mascot. Garri mentioned that to me before. After I got the chance to check it out at Garri's one night, and it was those little bots are so adorable.
Yeah.
Like,
again, the problem lies in the fact that they are tied to a medium that is just, you can't understand it unless you're doing it, you know?
Yeah.
This goes back to the Dragon Quest. It's like, it's just outside of the vision of most players of games, you know? It's not going to get picked up because they don't understand it. You can show VR all you like, but until someone experiences it, it's not going to click.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, like it's just such a happy game. You know, like everything is happy in that world. Like you see little plants and they have the digital smiley faces on them, and you can interact with them. It's just so many things. Like, it's not like the headset is just a camera. You use your head for things in the game too. You got to smash through barricades with your head. It does multiple things. That you get goo on the camera, so you got to like shake your head to wipe it off.
And the best thing, you can blow a fucking dandelion.
Which I still don't know how it works. I didn't know. Look, I don't know. I don't understand how that works. Does the VR headset have like a little microphone on it that I don't know about?
Yeah. This is it. It's a microphone. It goes from the microphone on the camera, I think. But basically, you're asked to blow these dandelion things like that, and it works. And actually, it's just a mind fucking moment because you do it, and you're like, that fucking worked. I just blew.
And you're like, how? What?
Dandelion just fall apart.
Oh my god, they're watching me! They're everywhere!
How? And how many games does that actually happen with in this day and age where it does something and you're like, that's fucking crazy. That's amazing. How did that happen? It's like, I mean, on a really logical level, you're like, okay, yeah, it picked up my breathing. That's what happened.
But from where?
Moment,
if you're far away from the camera,
you've done this thing and it happens. And you've done it, and straight afterwards, you're thinking, shit, that worked. That worked. It asked me to blow on this thing, and it blew on it, and it worked, and it did it. It just, it's so hard to comprehend. Again, unless you do it, it doesn't seem to make sense. You can't really connect with what the game's about, but you see it in the moment, you do it, and it's just, wow. You know, it's just, wow. You can't say much more about it than that. It's such a tiny detail in a game.
Yeah, it's all the little details, all of them. Just like when you're just running around and then the little astrobot turns to you and waves to you. And he has this cute little smile on his face, and it just gives you this huge smile in real life. You're like, oh my god, he's just saying hi to me. I love this game so much. So, yeah. He doesn't talk, he just makes a noise. Like, what the hell?
It's crazy.
When you flick him, his little woohoo kills me every time.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, it's the system seller in my opinion.
Yeah, but again, VR in general, you have to have people play it to understand, and really, that's the only way you can sell the system is have someone play it and get it.
Realistically, that's the way everything is going anyways. So I think that eventually everybody will we'll get into it one way or the other. We're going for the extreme on, the future of immersion in video games. That's what it's always been about.
Yeah.
We're getting the graphics perfected. Now we're getting the virtual immersion. Next thing they've already been working on like suits and gloves that not shock you, but make your muscles twitch.
Yeah.
Well, like if you get hit, so you know where you get hit in VR. They're making the pad, the pads where you can run and move in place, and it tracks how your feet are moving, so it moves your character in place. Like we're on the path to full immersion, and you're seeing like the beginning of that with Astrobot being the PSVR killer app, basically right now.
And it is, because if you strip the VR from it, it loses half of it. Half of its identity is gone.
More than half.
Yeah, probably. Like, you cannot make that game outside of VR. If they re-release that game without the VR just so people can play it, it will be terrible in my opinion.
Yeah,
because VR is such a massive experience in that game.
Knack 2 would be a better game. That's how strongly VR influences Astrobot. That's not to say it's a terrible game if you don't have VR. It's just that it was designed for, really was from the ground up. There's no like, oh, we just added VR. It is there, fully functional as a VR game, and that is why it is so strong. And I think it will miss out on a lot of plaudits in everyone's Game of the Year lists. It's like, yeah, personally, it's really disgusting. I can't put it in my Game of the Year list because there's nothing horrific about that. So, in a very good year for VR games, especially on PSVR, it is just adorable and wonderful. And yeah, I regretted nothing about having a VR headset this year, and because of games like this and Tetris Effect and others I'm sure we'll mention down the line. Yeah,
it just puts a smile on your face when you play it. You cannot be happy not playing that game.
Yeah. So next game,
Chris.
Okay, so yeah, now I'll throw my my shout out in the ring for Dragon Ball FighterZ. I just bet one of the best fighting games ever for me.
Yeah.
And with one of my all-time favorite franchises too. Like there was nothing at all that I didn't like about this installment. Arc System Works knocked it out of the park for me on this one. That intro, that music video that they have, like I watch it every time, and that's kind of unusual because obviously I don't like to watch intros. I want to get to the game, but that intro gets me pumped every fucking time I start it to play it. Like the metal just kicks in, and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna kick some ass today. And then the game, like it's fun. It has that Dragon Ball whimsy to it. I think everything they got perfect for the, the music, the themes, and just, you have your little avatar and you can run around with our little avatars. We talked about all this before, but it's one of the best fighters I've ever played. Like, you can, no matter what your skill level is going into it, you can learn and train up pretty quick to be able to do like some of the crazier combinations in the game, and it's very free flow. I'm still playing it, and I'm still trying to get good at it, and it's just, it means that much to me that's why I've, if nothing else, it's at least the best fighter of the year, and one of the best fighting games I've played since probably Tekken 4, even. I was a big fan of Tekken 4.
Were you able to finish the story?
What story?
The story.
What story?
For Fighter Z.
Oh, no. You know what? I didn't finish it yet. I haven't even started Majin 21's campaign. I'm just getting to the end of the bad guys campaign. Mostly I just go in and do the arcade modes and things like that. I've been meaning to get back to the story and finished it, so I need to do that so we can talk about it. I was like, what story?
I agree with everything that you said, but the only thing I don't like when it comes to the story is that they allow you to use Trunks as a support character or to fight with him, but he's not in the story particularly. That bothered me so much, knowing that it has to do with the timeline, and that's Trunks' big thing. It's the only thing I did not like.
I'm sorry, I had to say it. Alfonso hates me again. No, Chris, I just wanted to say what you were saying.
It's gonna happen. He's gonna get you in Smash, and he's gonna devastate you.
He probably will. He's been practicing, so I haven't. No, I think what makes it such an accessible fighter is the fact that they made it so accessible. Anybody can go into it and play it like they're playing as a professional. The fact that you can just pull off combos simply by pressing one button repeatedly, and the mastering that game essentially comes into how you combine your moves and your teammates, because it's a 3-on-3 fighter, and that's really where the hardcore stuff really comes in.
You're talking about fighters, yes.
Yes.
I wish I could find my copy because I don't know where it's gone.
Wow, man. But yeah, it's not like this hardcore fighter. Like, you would take a look at like a Tekken, and it has like 70 moves in the move list, so you got to kind of memorize it. You got to learn how to juggle stuff. This one is simple, and it really becomes a mastering of when you really go into the nitty gritty of it and learn to combine stuff. But anybody can go into it and have fun playing it.
Yeah, that's what I love about like all fighters, and then even more traditional board games like that saying, easy to learn, difficult to master, has applied to Go for generations. And that's something that even today, like in modern video games, the most successful games are easy to learn but challenging to master, so that anybody can have fun with it, but you can also have like tournament play with it. And Dragon Ball Z is like a perfect example of that. As you said, it's really easy to combo.
Best
and
fighting game of the VGAs.
Yeah. See, that's well deserved. Well deserved, in my opinion, this year. Yeah, they just nailed it out of the park. I can't wait for the next installment or the next DLC or whatever we get from them for this.
While we're talking about DLC for Dragon Ball, it looks like Xenoverse 2 next DLC will be in January. So,
woot.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I'd say.
Back to Fonzie, I guess, huh?
My pick is Celeste.
Ooh.
And yeah, I didn't finish it because, again, puzzles.
I was going to say, it probably doesn't have an easy platinum.
Garri! But yeah, the reason why I keep going back to Celeste every time I feel like I want to play is because of the soundtrack. It has to be one of the best soundtracks I heard for this year. And that's the only reason I'm going to try to finish it is because of the soundtrack. I listen to it and it just gives me this feeling like I have to finish it. Even though I'm frustrated with it at the moment because of these puzzles, but it's that soundtrack that keeps making me go back to it. That's why I'm happy that it won Soundtrack of the Year, because that game totally deserves it.
Yeah, it's a very good soundtrack. I mean, I'm not so keen on the game itself personally, but I still think the soundtrack is a very good one. And as you say, it's a very good reason to sort of plow on. But, I don't know. It's still not, for me, the best soundtrack, but, personal taste on that one, it's still soundtrack-wise. And there's a lot to like about Celeste. But that along with Hollow Knight is one of those games. It's like, it's all right. I'd love to love it, but I don't. It's fine.
I want to love it too because I want to see how it ends. But those puzzles is so frustrating. No, Garri, it's not about the platinum. Every game that I play has to get a platinum.
Again, you're yelling at me. I don't know.
Because once again, you're attacking me.
No. I was asking a question.
No, you was not asking a question. You was being direct. No, I forget it. I'm done. Move on.
No, Alfonso, you know what I've realized? That Garri is a master of gaslighting. And that's what he does all the fucking time whenever you try and talk to him. All of us. He does it to me all the time.
I think I'm the only one that's the other way around with. Just where I do it back to him and he just gets angry at me.
This is a fact.
Yeah, and then he accuses you of attacking him and gaslights you right back.
Problem is, I don't deny it. So.
We're all just powder kegs sitting in a pool of gasoline waiting for the match, aren't we?
Aren't we just?
That sounds like life.
Yep.
All right. Neil, your turn.
Oh boy, yeah, and again, I've just got so many to pick from. This is the bad part. I'm going to go with Dead Cells, actually, next, because legit, one of my top 3 games of the year, without a shadow of a doubt. I have enjoyed this whole roguelike Metroidvania thing. Rogue Legacy came out on Switch this year, and in any other year, I could say that's one of my games of the year, just because. It just, even though it came out before I played it, it's nice to be reminded. That and Katamari Damacy on Switch were just 2 very joyful moments to play a game again in that format. But Dead Cells is like 2D Dark Souls meets Prince of Persia, 2D the old school Prince of Persia, and it's brilliant for that. It's just so compelling that you always start again at the beginning when you die, and that would sound like the stupidest thing ever in a game. It's like, oh, okay, you died, so now you start right back at the beginning. But the way it works, obviously, is the further you get, you unlock new routes, you have more abilities, you can do different things, you know what to expect, and it just plays out so differently each time, even though you know these areas, some things the same each time, but a lot of it is procedural, so you end up taking in new areas and new enemy types and different combinations of enemies, and it's great that because it's one of those great roguelike titles where you're like, I'll play 10, 30 minutes here, do that, and I'll add a little to my progress, because of course you can spend your credits as it is and have that souls in this case, and upgrade that thing a little bit, or come closer to that upgrade, and you end up spending hours instead, because you're like, oh, okay, I'll do another run. I'll just do one more run. I'll just do one more, because I'm just so close to this one ability that I want. If I do another run, I might get to it, and that's how it goes.
So it's Rogue Legacy all over again.
it really is, but it has that Dark Souls element to it where you come up against tough challenges and you're like, oh, okay, I know that if I don't do this boss, for instance, I'm going to have to go all the way back to the beginning. And like I said, that should be frustrating, but it isn't. And that is a testament to the design of Dead Cells, that it just works no matter how many times you go back to the beginning. You know, it's like, oh, that's okay. So I get to warm up again, get to get in my rhythm again and fight my way to the point where I want to get to. I know, and then I can strategically manage how I'm going to have this, and this ability, because you can pick stuff up along the way to, you know, you can pick up secondary weaponry that might help you with that boss battle. If you're lucky, you can also find certain recipes and stuff. And it's great. It just carries on and on and on. And it is just like the evolution of the Rogue Legacy idea. Because it has that Prince of Persia / Dark Souls thing to it as well. I know it's the most interested I've been in that Dark Souls style for a while, and it's a 2D game, and it's endlessly compelling. And I will confess, predominantly I played it on the Switch this year, but I've also played it on PS4 a lot too. You know, one of those games, I will mention another one when we get to it, that I have bought on multiple systems this year because I like it on the PS4, but to have the idea of playing it wherever the fuck I want is brilliant too. So that would be cool. And this is one of them.
Is it Stardew Valley?
No.
Okay.
That is. No. Just spoiler, it's definitely to Canada. We'll get to that at some point. Dead Cells is just, I mean, an indie game. You know, I am very much a proponent of indie games. A lot of my favorite games on all formats I've played this year, and this has been a year where I played a lot of different formats for once. In previous years, it's very much PlayStation based. This year, I've a lot of Nintendo Switch stuff and a lot of PC stuff as well in those regions. But Dead Cells, whatever platform I played it on, has just been magical and compelling. And again, it comes back to that. I think it feels enjoyable, fun to play, and you just want that one more go factor. And when you just make that little bit more, it's just beautiful. I know it's how I felt playing Rogue Legacy on the Vita, you know, and that's probably why it's worked better for me on Switch with Dead Cells. But and it's got a really weird, dark sense of humor about stuff as well, because your player character is basically a scented blob of green slime that attaches itself to the dead bodies of fallen warriors each time, and it has an apathy for the suffering of other people and things it finds in this world. I don't know what
this game is, but it sounds amazing.
It really is, and it's so good. I see it unfairly sort of contrasted with Hollow Knight, because Hollow Knight's the wanker's favorite, It's like, we must love this game more because it looks more beautiful and it's a bit more vague about it. It's like, yeah, but Dead Cells is just so much more fun. And that's all I want. A game that's just fucking enjoyable from minute 1 to minute 5 million. It just, Hollow Knight very much left me cold in that. I think it's a very competent game, a very good game, but I don't get on with it in the same way, and sad as that may be. But Dead Cells, fantastic. You should just be playing that game. And as much as we are a PlayStation podcast in this thing, Switch, even with its little issues in performance, it's a perfect fit.
Just don't buy Ark on the Switch, please don't ever.
No, but then to buy Ark.
You shouldn't buy Ark in general, man.
Hey, I have Ark.
Well, that explains a lot.
Well, Ben, so you're going to explain now why you picked Ark?
Oh no, I'm going to pick something that'll piss off even more people. I can see the anger.
Yes.
It's going to spill, and everyone's going to get murdered that knows me.
Don't take us down this country road.
Oh yes. Country roads. Lose your details. Steal your bags. Steal my game of the year. I'm gonna go with Fallout 76.
Wow.
And that's my food.
While you get your food, I'll pass it to Garri because Garri reviewed it.
Yes.
And copped a fair bit of flack for daring enough to give a game a 7 out of 10. Sorry, that still just makes me chuckle.
What was I thinking, man? No. I enjoyed Fallout 76. I enjoyed playing it with my friends. Chris, Tim, Ben, we had a blast. We had fun playing. Like that's literally what games are supposed to be. They're supposed to be fun. And that's what I had.
This is why we're saying with Dead Cells. It's just sometimes a game doesn't have to be, emotionally powerful.
No, damn it. Games have to be deep, introspective analogies that I can personally take home and my neckbeard can enjoy. They can't be fun, okay? They have to be what I want. Sorry, just had to get that out.
And, yes, it has problems, as every Bethesda game since Fallout 3 has had problems. It's nothing new to not the franchise nor, the company. And in a way, they started to embrace this. They shouldn't embrace it. And I don't agree with the fact that, they like the fact that their games are buggy and they're embracing it. That should never be the case. But when you're going into a game fully expecting what you're going to get, I think it's a big difference than going into a game like, I don't know, Spider-Man and expecting every goddamn bug and glitch in the world to happen. And to me, people say that it's boring, it's dead, there's no meaningful stuff in it. I don't agree with that. I thought the way they told the story through the holotapes was very well done. If you actually have, the will to listen to, because a lot of these holotapes are long. There was one that I clocked in, like they were talking for like 7-8 minutes.
I love how you said that. Yeah, the will.
Yeah, because you want to go on and start shooting stuff. If you're doing that, you're not really paying attention to what they're talking about in the holotapes. But it's a story that takes place in an area that is unaffected by an actual nuclear blast. Bombs never fell on West Virginia. So it's a vibrant world to look at. It's got fall colors. The setting is nice. Most of the region is populated by robots because humanity is not there. Fallout 76 is the first Fallout shelter to open up in that area. So you come out, there's residents that have been there, people who did live in West Virginia, but they have since died out. They were pretty much wanderers and stuff like that from the Fallout and the nuclear wars. But you are essentially the vault that never got experimented on in the Fallout universe. And your whole job is to reclaim West Virginia, rebuild it as a human settlement, and rebuild humanity, essentially. And like I said, there is always something for us to do. There were parts in the game where I would have maybe 10 quests on my quest list, and I had no idea which one to tackle first. And to say that the game has no content is just ridiculous, because it has a tremendous amount of content.
Well, that was the beauty of it, is that we could choose to tackle any of those quests at any time. It was just like, hey, want to go do this? Yeah, sure. We'd go to a new area. We'd get attacked. We'd have fun. We're like, all right, well, let's go over here now. And that's what it was. We were having fun exploring and just enjoying kind of that dynamic randomness that is very, very famous in open world games like Bethesda's known for publishing and making. So that it's that combined with the us being our normal selves and being friends and doing this together. It was great. Like I don't know why everybody was saying there wasn't any content, and for there not to be any NPCs in the world either. It's like, because they're the only people alive are other players. Like, that's the intent that they were going for.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, they told people exactly what this game was. They were very transparent about what this game was, but they just did not want to believe it. They wanted a full-on story. They wanted their NPCs. All the stuff that they wanted, they told them was not what this game was. And, yeah, I don't know. Like I said, we had fun. And, Ben, this was your pick. I don't know if you're back yet. If you want to tell us why you liked it. Probably not. You're probably eating now.
He just threw the grenade in here.
But yeah, Chris, obviously you've been playing it, so you can talk about it a little bit too.
Yeah, I mean, just like I haven't even gotten into the story as far as you have yet, but it was.
So we agree that Fallout 76 is the best Fallout.
Yes.
What did people say?
It is to me. It is to me. And Neil, you know this. Like, you know my problems with Fallout that I've had.
Yeah.
And for me to say that this is my favorite Fallout is something, because it's the one I've enjoyed the most.
Yeah, and I think we have the benefit of that context. Yeah. I can get why people who don't know you are going to go, how could it be your favourite Fallout? Because they don't assume that you don't like the rest. You know, it's a problem in that regard. I get that, but yeah, you know,
I can assure you, Garri has played the rest of them, has been frequently butt-fucked by the glitches in all of the previous entries, and can safely say that this one was the least glitchiest of them all, from my understanding.
I mean, historically, we have podcasts as Unchained, where in the Tournament of the Overrated, where we had this very discussion about Fallout 3 and 4, you know, and there are many arguments about those games. You know, Garri was very much on the side of the negative.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean, listen, people talk about Fallout New Vegas, and I get it. Fallout New Vegas, narratively, was a great game.
Yeah.
But the fact that to this,
people.
Yeah, to this, this very day, it has game-breaking bugs that will destroy your save files that you will never get back, and you're screwed for life. Like,
Also,
to say
really
that is not as bad as what Fallout 76 has is ridiculous.
Yeah.
There's a difference between, I can just, quit to the main menu and come back in, bug or glitch, compared to I just lost 300 hours of gameplay and I can never get it back and I got to start over. That's a big difference, people.
I think there was a lot of pent up aggression over Fallout 4 that didn't get released, and it became part of Fallout 76's whole thing. And it didn't help that Bethesda then had outside problems to do with the game after that obviously tarnished the name further. And the fact the game then has sold 23 quid since then.
I bought mine like a week later for 29.
Yeah, because what I said to Garri is like, well, I played the beta.
I bought the Collector's Edition for 35.
Yeah,
not the vinyl bag edition, but just the still tin.
Yeah, well, that is one of the issues.
Hey, Garri, how's your canvas bag?
It's good, thank you. No, I just want to say, people need to understand that this game is a games for service game. If they expected it to be 100% foolproof day one, they obviously have never played an MMO. Pretty much every MMO that ever comes out is terrible up until probably the first 4 or 5 months when they start doing stuff to it.
You haven't played the Bethesda game.
Is this not the exact same reaction that the Elder Scrolls Online got? The internet, the social media wasn't as prevalent when that came out. And that has slowly improved over time, and obviously it's in the background, so people don't give a shit. They're not involved in the argument. It's not a brand new game, so the people that would normally piss their pants over it are just not paying attention to it. But that game has got better and better and better over time, to the point that it's arguably one of the best MMOs out there.
By the way, I like the theory that Fallout 76 is nothing but a scam by Todd, right? Okay. Not to scam us, but to scam the companies in charge of him. All right, I can't remember what YouTuber this was, but I like this theory, okay? Because they're working on Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6, he's already said multiple times that they would need a bigger studio to actually finish Starfield because of how ambitious it is. I like the theory that Todd went up to the people in charge of him, went, look, we know Fallout sells well. Let's make it an online game of service and sell it to the millions. And they're like, yes, we'll buy that. That's a good idea. And he's like, oh, but I can't do it. We just don't have enough people. Can we get more staff?
Ben, you need to stop. You're revealing his entire secret right now, and you don't want to be the cause of the downfall.
Can we get more staff? And they're like, oh, yeah, sure, go ahead. We're going to make the money from all the microtransactions and the DLCs. Yeah, you get your staff. And then gets the staff. It's like, actually, you guys are working on Starfield. We've got about 4 people walking up Fallout. It's fine.
Just to go back to this, because so much ill will towards Bethesda, but Bethesda, outside of Sony, are one of the last purveyors of single-player content. Sure, Fallout 76 isn't that game, and maybe that's why people are so violently vicious towards it. But you look at the shit they put out in the last few years as a publisher, the likes of Wolfenstein 2, Prey, and Dishonored 2, games that are adored by the people that play them. Yes, they're not as successful. Those games combined probably aren't going to be as successful as Fallout 76, a game that is reviled by a large portion of people. And that's mad, I agree. But games like Fallout 76 pay the bills to get the stuff that Bethesda do really well in terms of publishing.
Yeah, and I've always said, like, I love Bethesda as a publisher, just not as a developer.
Yeah, it's fair enough. I mean, a lot of these people, like I said, I think it does come back down to the people that didn't like Fallout 4, and they're just acting out.
Also, remember that Bethesda are actually owned by another company. So,
everyone's owned by a different company at this point. Even when they sound like
ZeniMax Studios owns. So
yeah, I think they also own IGN, and IGN didn't give it a 7. Why don't they go attack them? They're owned by the damn company. They probably should have given it a 10.
10 out of 10. No, 9 out of 10.
And your score wasn't even the highest.
I mean, in fairness, if they have anything to do with that company, then they shouldn't be in the game whatsoever. Because
didn't IGN have like all the map locations put up already before?
They should have no coverage in the game because it's advertising. It's whatever they do. No, even if they gave the game 2 out of 10, it's still advertising for a game that is within their company. But it's like the whole, Google, Amazon thing. It's like, oh, they're technically separate companies, but because they share people who made the same shit, somehow Amazon appears on the top of every fucking Google search when you're going. It still exists. They're still helping each other out.
But yeah.
Yes. Anyway, that's that. So yeah, Ben's choice. So we go around again. So Garri.
Go around again. How many more are we doing, by the way?
Well, until we exhaust them, we might go around. A round up towards the end might be a good idea, I think. I've got so many.
Okay, I only have 2 more, so.
Oh, we'll go.
Okay,
that was my last one, by the way.
Oh, there you go. Well, just the people who have multiple ones will carry on.
I've got one more.
Unless Garri picks it. Yeah.
Maybe. No. I am going to go with Ni no Kuni 2, Revenant Kingdom. Earlier RPG, JRPG came out, I believe, in February.
Yeah, about that.
Yeah, March. Another very, very well done, enjoyable RPG. This is done by Level 5, who is known for creating some really great RPGs. A very huge step away from what they did in the original one. original one was more like a monster catching Pokemon type of game that you use to fight monsters with. Also, they collaborated with Studio Ghibli on the first one. They did not collaborate on the second one with them, even though they still used the same type of art style.
That's kind of understandable because Ghibli had technically shut down at that point. So
yeah, unfortunately.
So,
but yeah, no, they went in. They told a story that takes place after a lot of years after the game, where you just play as this little boy who becomes king after his father is killed, and his kingdom is overthrown by this race of rat people who lived, happily with in the kingdom, who I believe are more felines. So rats and felines live together, and the rodents essentially rebelled, killed the king, and he was forced into exile, where he decided that he's going to rebuild his own. He's not going to rebuild it, he's going to build his own kingdom now, because he does not want to take back the one that they took. And obviously, a lot of stuff happens. There's this world-threatening thing that happens, and he has to pretty much unite all the kingdoms under one banner to defeat this big, great evil. And he sets off on this great quest, and it comes with, much like the first game, there's a character who comes from the real world who gets transported into this fantasy world. And he doesn't know what's really going on, and he has to kind of find a way home as well. And it's just the story of friendship and unity, and how you can really change the world if you work together. It doesn't tell this insanely miraculous story. It's just a nice, warm-hearted story that it tells about people and how we interact with each other and different races and all that. It has a very good message that it's trying to send. And I thoroughly enjoyed this game. It has about 3 different type of game modes. There's your traditional action combat system where you run around and fight this time. You can pick which characters you wanna fight with. You can select any of them from your party. There's this kind of RTS type of a game mode where you have like these armies, and they're like these big chibi characters, and you fight on the world map with them. And I know a lot of people didn't like that game mode too much, but I thought it was actually really fun because it was this huge puzzle type mode where you have to have specific units that do damage to specific ones. Like archers would do good damage to lancer enemies, and your sword or your warriors would do good damage to obviously archers and things like that. It was a fun mode. I really did enjoy playing it. And, through and through, the game is just fun. It has this whole town building mechanic. So you can build your own town, build your own shops, run around in your town. It's very cool. And I really thought it was a very underlooked game back when it came out, because it came out around the same time that the big juggernaut for that time, Far Cry 5 was coming out. And and I do feel it got overlooked, unfortunately, and it didn't help that it got itself into some bad news with its DLC. People got really upset that they paid for the season pass and no announcements or anything came about its expansions, which they're finally coming, I believe, in 2 weeks now, or the 18th. Sorry. But yeah, it's a fun game. It's an old school design type of a game. It has a huge world map you can explore. Nice little boat you can get, sail around the oceans. It's a gorgeous looking game. Obviously, the art style that they've kept from them is still very, very much relevant in this day and age. But yeah, it's a good game. It's a fun game, and it has a very good message that it's trying to send. And I really did enjoy it. Kuni too.
To be honest, I find the DLC complaints funny. People complain that, like with Spider-Man, the DLC's coming out in a month. oh, it's been cut from the game, it's too soon. Then when a developer takes its time to make the DLC come out, oh, it's taking too long. It's not ever coming out.
You never make people happy.
Anytime anyone says that sort of shit, just go, look at fucking Half-Life 2. Look at that last bit of DLC. It never fucking came out.
Hey, yeah, we're still waiting for that DLC. I bought the season pass and everything.
Those cliffhanger endings.
You waited about 6 months to finish a fucking story. There's a game that came out in 2004 that still hasn't finished its fucking story. It's like, ugh. Sorry, bitter about that. Who's next?
Did you even see the leaked? Someone leaked the story online.
Yeah, supposed story.
It made sense.
It doesn't everything, you know.
You know what they should. You know what they should do. If they don't. I know they said, "Oh, we don't want to make single player game." Just make a damn book. People would have been happy, even if the book says "And Gordon lives." The end.
Titanfall 2 was the best Half-Life game that never got.
Titanfall 2 was the best multiplayer game.
And also Garry's Mass Effect.
Best multiplayer game of 2018, even though it came out.
Titanfall 2 is the best shooter of this generation.
Damn
I don't
right.
care what anybody says.
I agree with Garry.
Yes.
I don't know what the podcast errors.
In the whole 8 years of this system being alive, that is the best.
Yeah, right. It's 5 years, but yeah.
Yeah. It'll probably be 8 by the time PS5 comes. So.
Yeah,
By the way, did you do the PlayStation video thing? Because I know only UK folk could do it.
Oh, yeah, and it was as predictable as yours, to be honest.
How many hours did you put in the PES?
Well, you see, because obviously it's different PES every year, you can only put so many hours in. But PES 2018 was my top one, last year's one, and I got 369 hours. Okay. And then it was PES 2015 with 284, and PES 2016 with 282. So yeah, I'd imagine 4th and 5th might also have been PES games as well.
For me, it was Warframe, which I didn't see at the time, and then Fantasy 14 was 7,351 hours.
Which is understandable, given how much you play it. It totally makes sense.
I'll be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if 10% of that is just me standing around.
Yeah, I mean,
because I do my podcast for Phoenix Down Radio. Go check them out, Twitch today. It's Phoenix Down Radio. We record in game, but we talk on Discord. So for those 3 hours, I'm just stood there.
Still, but I think that game would still easily walk.
It would walk on everything. It would slaughter.
I think with that, it's like I always want to. When it comes to this time of year with Game of the Year, I could include PES, but I don't because it's like the junk food of games for me. I will play it every year for hundreds of hours, and the proof is there in the fact that my top 3 are like 200 plus hours on the same game each year. But it's there. There are other games I play for. X2 is probably just outside that bunch as well, but it's the game again I've played on more than one system, so it has its hours here and there.
What if they announce XCOM 3 next year?
Mate, if they announce XCOM 3 and they do the bitterly disappointing thing they did last time and say, PC first, I'm spending a lot of money on a PC, basically. Like last time, where I bought it on PC and then I could barely play it because my laptop just melted at the Sunday. Nothing has changed there, of course, because I still have the same laptop. I just don't tend to play it as often. But yes, it's great. What were we talking about before that?
Chris. It's Chris's turn.
Yay!
I'd like to throw my Game of the Year out for PES 2019 for Neil here. I do have now that I remembered, because I did play one other game this year, and it was fantastically fun first-person shooter called Far Cry 5. And I'm sorry that it kind of left Nina Pin
Neil's
too.
about to kill you.
I loved Far Cry 5 simply for just the sheer fact that it was a smooth, solid shooter, and it was just fun. I had fun walking through the wilderness, shooting bears and skinning them quickly, and going and then sneaking into a camp and then trying to take people out silently, but failing miserably and getting seen and then getting into a firefight. And then going in and doing it all over again, maybe parachuting into the base. It was a good improvement for the Far Cry series on all ends. They've been keeping it pretty fresh with their weekly campaign things that you can do. You know, kill 15 bears with your bare hands or whatever, and you get stuff like. And if everybody does it, you know.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I enjoyed the arcade mode. The online play wasn't great. It was okay for what it was. I didn't play it for that. I played it for the story, which was absolutely phenomenal. Fantastic ending that Garri can attest to. He told me first, he's like, dude, you gotta finish it. The ending was amazing. I'm like, okay. Dude, I finished it. The ending was fucking amazing. I know, right? Like, that's how it was. And it was just such a fun experience on all accounts.
Now, I might add on that ending that ending is now more in the public knowledge than the ending of Infinity War. Because a sequel to it has already been announced. It tells you the fucking ending straight away. Still, people, Infinity War is like, hush, hush, don't talk about it. Even the trailer for Endgame doesn't really say what really happened. It's just like,
all we know is Thanos has a scarecrow.
And yet here it is, fucking Far Cry was like, yeah, we fucking nuked the world, motherfucker. And this is a game set later. And yeah, okay.
It's how it happened that makes it so interesting. Is because you're constantly believing that this guy is this terrible person, which he is. He's a cult leader. He doesn't care. But you realize that at the end of the game, everything that he says is true. You're just like, holy shit, I'm a horrible person because I should have believed him. But I didn't because he was a horrible person. I think that's what really stood out to me about it. And because once you see it happen, the fact that he has no reaction that it happened because he knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was a very unexpected ending. To me, it really was very unexpected.
I'll put my 2 cents in it. I got the gold edition mainly because I wanted to play Far Cry 3 again without the multiplayer bullshit, which was the biggest thing I hated about that game. God,
really? The multiplayer was the biggest thing you hated about Far Cry 3?
It was.
Not what they did to Voss?
No, I love that game. That game is amazing. And, proof point, I finished it and platinumed it again on PS4. I didn't spend nearly as much time on Far Cry 5 itself, because Far Cry 3 is just such a pure way of putting that template, it does enough. It's open, but it's not too open, it does enough, gives you enough, and you carry on. At the time, when it came out on PS3, my complaint was the multiplayer had no fucking matchmaking, and it required you to do certain things, complete certain levels, but you couldn't do those unless you were lucky enough to matchmake people. And guess what? That was pure bot luck. And so that was fucking infuriating if you were going for the platinum, because those were the last few trophies you had to get. So yeah, it made that game a very unpleasant experience, because up until then, Far Cry 3 was like one of my favourite games of that generation. Absolutely amazing. Did everything I wanted it to do.
Neil, I can agree with you on everything. I had Garri to play with for most of those trophies, and I actually got glitched out of getting a platinum on that game.
Yeah.
Because the multiplayer one for the first level, the trophy to finish just the first multiplayer level of the co-op mission, it didn't pop for me. And I tried it again multiple times, and it never popped for me again. So that platinum is actually locked on the for my Far Cry 3 now. But I agree with you 100% that it was a fantastic entry in the series, and I just felt like Far Cry 4, I didn't get a chance to play. Far Cry neither one of those interested me. And then I got interested again with Far Cry 5, and it exceeded what Far Cry 3 did for me. I felt in all the ways that you're saying, and that it was open. Far Cry 5 felt like a fresh, living, breathing wilderness up in the Montana mountains, and that was something that I felt it did better than Far Cry 3, even though it was, you had the wild animals in Far Cry 3. I'm not sure what it was. I don't know how to explain it, but Far Cry 5 just managed to turn that up a notch and make you even feel more like, you're a mountain man at this point. You have to be able to trek through the wilderness and skin animals and eat meat and things like that.
I think, and we'll probably get to this when I mention a game later. I just think that Far Cry 3 was the best balance of being a video game and having those aspects. Whereas Far Cry 5 very much tries for a bit more realism, and that works in some ways, and it's interesting in some ways. I like exploring large worlds, whatever the gameplay elements are, but it just didn't feel as satisfying.
Really? I disagree. there was so much more to explore and random things you stumble across. With something like that Fallout does really well, just the random, like you walk into a place and there's like a couple bodies and a blood spatter and a note that kind of sheds some light on the situation, and you're just like, what the fuck happened here? They were able to do that so much better in Far Cry 5 than 3. It was just that detail was missing, I felt.
This is my point, though. It's like the fact that I had those two games and I played. I always go about. I eulogize about replaying games and go, because especially with trophies involved, it's trying. You play. you play a game again and you think, oh yeah, it's great. And even I thought, well, Far Cry 3, I'll probably do the same thing I do with most games where I go, I'd love to play that through for the trophies again. And you'll play it a few hours and go, that bothered. And somehow, I really did think that would be the case with Far Cry 3 Classic, that I would just play a few hours and go, this isn't much for me, I'll just continue playing the new game. And it ended up being quite the opposite. I enjoyed the balance better in Far Cry 3. And 5, I don't know, it just didn't hit me in the same way. And that in itself wouldn't be a problem, but when I think of this year, I played Assassin's Creed Origins and Odyssey this year, and both were more enjoyable in their own worlds for that sort of thing, And Red Dead Redemption 2 as well. These are all games that really nailed those aspects better for me than Far Cry 5. And it just, again, I did not like Far Cry either. And it's one of those games, it's much like Uncharted, where it's like, yeah, I get it. People like Uncharted, but the original, but I don't get what the fuss is about that game. The rest of it is much better than that game. And
I can follow you, Neil, and I'll agree. Simply because I haven't played Origins, Odyssey, or Red Dead Redemption 2 yet. Honestly, I don't know when I'll get to them, but I'll agree that those are probably better candidates for what Far Cry 5 did. I just want to say really quick, I know what people have been complaining about with Red Dead Redemption 2, like the unskippable skinning things and that. There's something that I feel that Far Cry 5 really addressed in that regard, is that when you're integrating reality into video games, you have to be aware, as a game designer, of balancing reality with gameplay. And so, do you want to show the reality of maybe seeing how long it takes to actually skin an animal? Or do you want to just be able to run and collect the loot and go because it's a fucking video game? And that's what Far Cry 5 chose.
I want to say it's fine to do the full animation the first time. Then after the first time, you should be able to skip it.
Yeah, I agree. And that's something that's come a long way in cutscenes, skippable cutscenes and that now. And so I'm hoping that we'll get kind of the same look to it. But then you get involved in too many, do you just want to skip this and skip this, and then you're just skipping the whole fucking game, so it ruins the purpose of it anyways. And for me, it's a balancing act. I always see with games like, well, yeah, it wouldn't really do this, but it makes the game a hell of a lot funner. Like, look at Just Cause 3 and 4's physics. Like, it's not reality, but it makes it more fun. So
Hey! Far Cry 2 showed us what it feels like to have malaria. And your guns jam on you all the time.
My point. Thank you. My point exactly.
There are not enough hours in this fucking podcast for me to go on about how bad that game handled that shit.
That's the only game I had to stop after 30 minutes because I started vomiting in real life.
Yep.
Hey, we can't disagree that Far Cry 2, of all the Far Cries, had the best fire effects and destruction.
Whoopie fucking do.
Fire.
What do you do? Just a shame no one can play the game.
Hey,
It's like, yeah, you know what? It was so beautiful. I didn't mind being burned alive to did not suffer another minute of that fucking malaria shit.
Hey! I've seen you've seen the gifs from Assassin's Creed Origins, how the fire spreads in that, and he's just like, oh, ragdolls die. Dude, fire in every game. Any game that fire works realistically, you're gonna have a bad time.
Well, if there's other aspects of the game that don't work, Far Cry 2 especially, anytime I ever see anyone just going to bat for that game, I'm just like, you just don't get it. You really don't. It's neither enjoyable nor inventive. It's a gimmick where they smear jam on your face every fucking time you get malaria, and that's it. That's your game. Is that, and it happens to be an open world, and the bad guy might have moralistic issues. Yeah.
To be honest, I'm thinking of
my gun's jammed in that game from Rust and stuff.
Oh, it's just
By the way, you talk about that, Neil. I'm just thinking of the episode of The Big Bang Theory where Sheldon tries to learn to drive and they smack him over the head with a pillowcase every time he fails. I'm just thinking someone smack you over the face with like a half-open jam sandwich every time you get malaria.
They're jamming us.
What got me about Far Cry 2 is that my
every
AK-47
5 minutes someone comes
jammed.
in and just grabs hold of your controller so you can't play. Your controller's jammed.
just going to that.
No. The AK-47 jammed in that game, and that's not a possibility because that gun never fucking jams. You can shoot it through anything. It'll work.
It's true, dude. It's true, dude. Kalashnikov knew how to make his gun.
Right. So that's your pick. Who's next? Is it Chris?
That was Chris.
Far Cry 5 was mine. Alfonso's next.
I was so ready for Garri to pick that game. So
I left it for Chris. I knew he was going to pick it. So
Alfonso.
Yes.
Sorry.
Before I pick my last pick, fuck Far Cry 5. And I'm saying this because I was
get the
all hyped
platinum
for that
trophy?
game. No, I was all hyped for that game, and 5 minutes into the game, it crashed, and I had to start all over again. Every 5 minutes, I restart the game, it crashed, and I tried 4 different types of people's copies, and it crashed every 5 minutes. Shannon felt bad for me, and she ended up buying me the gold edition because you get Far Cry 3, and it still crashed. So thank you, Ubisoft, for ruining my experience for Far Cry, and because of that, I am not looking forward to New Dawn. Fuck that series.
But then Ubisoft sat there going,
you can probably play it now, though. You know, they patched it.
I don't want to play it now. I don't want to play it now. They ruined it. They ruined it.
Sounds like a PS4 issue, no?
Garri, I have a PS4 and 2 PS4 Pros. You tell me it's not going to work on none of my 3 PS4?
Sounds like it, yeah.
No, it can't be.
Oh
It can't be. That's the only game in my library that doesn't work, but everything else works fine. Nah, that's a Ubisoft problem. Fuck Ubisoft. Fuck Far Cry 4. Fine. Sorry.
I'd end up being Ubisoft too.
What is your game, Alfonso?
My last pick for Game of the Year is Detroit Become Human.
Nice.
A game that I want to finish, but couldn't because at that time still playing God of War nonstop. But I love the characters. I mostly play with Connor, but I love the characters. I love the aspect of how they give you the ability to find clues to put it the pieces together to solve the case. I love the choices that you can make. Nice soundtrack, amazing graphics. To me, one of the best looking games of this year. It goes into my top 3 for this for Game of the Year. I need to finish it, but just don't have time to. But yeah, I love that game.
I enjoyed it too. I'm not gonna lie. I did enjoy it as well. I thought as much crap as David Cage gets and his studio gets, I still think they create fantastic.
It was a very good emotional game.
No, like to me, I've always said this is like it's the next step in the visual novel point and click adventure game, and I think in the case of Detroit, it's a story that we've seen done so many times before with Terminator, iRobot, take your pick, anything where machines start thinking for themselves. But in this case, I feel like there's some aspects of it where I didn't like, and some parts that just didn't really make sense to me, specifically with some of the characters. But overall, I thought it was a fun game. It was a good game. So yeah, I enjoyed it personally. So
I didn't get a chance to play it at all, but I see it as Game of the Year material, even though I didn't get the chance to experience it. But from everything I've seen, it looked like it was a really good, emotionally driven story experience, like you're saying they're very well known for. I've also always loved the animation quality that comes out of that studio. So I can see why it's Game of the Year material, why it should be talked about as Game of the Year material. I can't really say anything else beyond that because I haven't had a chance to experience it yet. But it looked fucking fantastic, and I agree with you that where the direction that they're going is kind of like the future for point-and-click adventure style games. I agree with that 100% because they make it they make the interaction seamless.
They do.
Almost, it's just you're experiencing the story as the character is experiencing the story, like you're reading a fucking book. And it was phenomenal in Heavy Rain. Like that game is one of my top 5 all-time favorite games. And as I said, I was looking forward to Detroit Become Human. Haven't had a chance to play it, but it's something that studio does phenomenally well. Unfortunately, it kind of got overshadowed by all of that, nasty stuff about the workplace. And I'm not here to speculate whether it's true or not, or who said this and what. They produce quality content. So I hope that we see them around still in the future because they do make quality games.
Yeah, I think as a game, it has. I mean, as an interactive game, it is really interesting. I think the main problem with Detroit Become Human is that when it deals with certain issues, it can be really good at it, and then it straight away be pretty terrible. It's a hit and miss vibe that again you get with content-driven games where they can be really effective in one scene and then do something god awful in another. See Heavy Rain sex scene, for instance, for doing something terribly. Here, there's a bit more good to it. I find, especially.
More interactive sex scenes.
No, it's very much that's that. The robots. Come on.
Even better. What are you talking about? Yes, robot sex.
I mean, there's better interactions between characters. Just there's more interesting people involved. The scrapyard scene in particular is really, really effective in what it does, and especially from what it comes off from. And it's frustrating as a game because there are so many moments in it that get overshadowed by some really clunky, horrible, dumb, insensitive parts that just don't really work. And for PSU, I gave this game 8 out of 10 because I a lot to it that works really, really well and deserves to be praised for that, especially for the medium it's going for, because I think there's a branching choice here that actually has an impact than, say, Telltale's stuff, God rest their soul. And and yeah, I mean, it does. It's so much better in that regard than anything Quantic Dream had done before. It's just that you kind of wish they didn't embarrass themselves now and again. It's like they've turned up in their fancy suit and they're using all their big words, but occasionally they're eating spaghetti and they drop it down the front of their trousers. You know?
Oh, I didn't know they were me.
There you go. They're the Ben. They are the Ben of video games. There is so much to love, but occasionally they drop their spaghetti.
Don't insult
You
Ben
forget
like that.
to bring a spare suit as well. You're like, now I've got to wear this. And
Life lessons: always bring a spare pair of trousers in your trunk, or in your briefcase, or your backpack, wherever you go. Trust me.
I would hope they would be on my trunk, so to speak. So.
What if you're not wearing trunks underneath these trousers?
Well,
I'm speaking more about my trunk rather than my trunk.
Trunk size is directly proportional to junk size, as we know.
Does it come with my?
Well, I don't know what I'm going to do with it.
Oh, God damn.
That's
You
what
didn't get the joke. You didn't get the joke.
But you
No,
did.
he didn't
I
know
was
what to do
making
with
a
it.
joke
I think he
too.
got the joke. He doesn't know what to do with it,
Right.
Gary. He knows the joke.
So, yes,
Thank you, Ben.
Detroit, what? It was fine.
Detroit Rock City. Sorry.
But I suppose it's me next.
Why do I breathe?
Why did you put that on a t-shirt? Why do I breathe?
Oh my God! You just gave me the best Christmas present idea for Gary. Yes.
That you're going to get yourself to wear?
No.
Just
Oh
make
my
sure
God.
it's the saddest picture of Garri.
Oh, it's going to be amazing.
Right.
Your turn, my friend.
Yeah, it's my turn. I'm getting scared because we've gone a while and I don't want to do stuff. So I'm going to have to pick Red Dead Redemption 2 as the next one. And then just hope that one of my other favorites gets a chance to shine soon. But yeah, this is a game that, we were just talking about Detroit and all the controversy that surrounded it, that sort of affecting it. And Red Dead, again, much like Detroit, had two separate things that really went against it. First one, of course, was the workplace problem, like Detroit. And the second was how it played, which a lot of people were instantly turned off by it because it was very slow-paced. Every animation is very deliberate, and people are very much like, oh, no, God, I can't believe the game is making me spend time doing things. Oh, I'm going to go back to playing Overwatch for 9 billion hours. Yeah, it seems like an odd argument, considering some people made that argument will gladly play the same thing, the same cycle over and over again in one game to the point of infinity. But because a looting animation takes, oh my God, let's just bash this game into ancient history. Red Dead Redemption 2 is absolutely spellbindingly good game in what it does. Its little mechanics all work together. And yes, it's terrible that it took this many man-hours to make. And there was so much pressure on that game to be made. But you can see it, It's like, you can argue, oh, it's archaic and its gameplay design good because it fits, it kind of fits the style of this game. If it was too fluid, the world wouldn't feel right. It's why I've had trouble going back to Assassin's Creed, because that game is very fluid, very, you flip and jump and move everywhere. Great. like that. From place to place, you can fucking leg it from one place to the other in that world. You don't have to get on your horse, and it doesn't matter. Here, it's like you get on your horse if you want to get somewhere, but if you walk, it's going to take a fucking age to get there. Not only will it take time to get there in terms of speed, but also because you'll just be sidetracked by so much shit that's going on in this world. It's so alive as a game world. There's so much going on. And that's before you get to the gang itself and the interaction between it. One of the reasons I gave Persona 5 my only 10 out of 10 was because the camaraderie between the group just felt like an extension to me. You felt it, and you felt part of this group, and you wanted everything to be all right for these guys. Red Dead is arguably better at it because not only do you have people you're rooting want to spend time with, but there are people in this group, like in real life, there are people in this group that's like you tolerate, you kind of get why people like them around, but at the same time, if you had the chance and no one was watching, you'd shoot them in the back of the head at the first opportunity. It's like you're.
Whoa! Wait, what are you trying to say here, Neil?
Chris, I think it's clear we're talking about Garri.
Wow!
I thought it was me, if I'm honest.
No, but I mean, in a friendship group, you have people who are friends no matter what, no matter how much shit you throw at them and how much banter you have. And
just like Garri and Chris.
Yeah, it's the Unchained gang. This is what we're like. It's like people shit at each other. That's fine. When you think of larger groups in general, just like maybe in the past, where you'd be friends with people just because other people are friends with people, Mm-hmm. And you tolerate those people because your mate is friends with them and you don't want to cause any trouble. But eventually stuff gets pushed to the point where you're like, I'm going to have to tell this person to fuck off. Like that. Red Dead Redemption 2 absolutely captures that. And it's like, you can have these wonderful, euphoric moments of just being in a group together, just doing a really meaningful activity. Like, one of my favorite moments in the whole game that isn't really a spoiler in any way at all, it's to say that after a certain event, you all get together around the campfire and you have a little sing-song, and it's just beautiful how it goes. You feel like you've achieved something to get this, and everything you've learned about the people in this camp, but to this point, you're like, it's great that we can all just be happy and great, because the predominant storytelling method of Red Dead Redemption 2 is that this is a group that are ultimately going to fall apart because it's a prequel to Red Dead Redemption, where John Marston is hunting down these people who remain from this group, is going after them because this group broke down. And what you're witnessing in Red Dead Redemption 2 is the breakdown of that group. And that makes it doubly tragic because you're viewing why it becomes that way, and you see how they are at their best, and you're like, you just wish that it all went well. And it's just such a strong component of the entire story that people get along with each other, but also that you are so involved in them that you want to spend time with. It's never pushed like it was in, say, GTA 4, where to go bowling all the time. It's now a case of, it's like, if you want to go spend time with this person, there's a mission for that. And even then, you might say, I want to go and see what that person is doing. You might want, it gives you a mission to go and see them. But you go to that mission and find out that it's a conversation with that person, but someone else jumps in and it's a completely different mission. It's like you go in any other game, you go to a person, you're doing a mission for them. Yeah, if that's their marker. In Red Dead Redemption 2, you go to a mission, you might talk with that person for a bit, and then someone else from the group interjects and goes, oh, well, shit, we've got this thing to do. Something has happened over here. So you join me. So it's like, and that plays brilliantly into the story because there are moments where you'll have conversations with certain characters and you never get to do much with them mission-wise, but you always get a sense like there's something missing in the story. What am I missing? Because every time I go to talk to them, I'm not getting the full story because someone else interjects with their own problem, or which is usually, to be fair, something more prevalent that you have to do. And on a couple of occasions, especially, that has rolled back into the story itself, that you have had these repeated attempts at conversation with a character, and you've seen the frustration that they feel not being able to get across what they're trying to say, and it's paid off as a story component, and it just gets you far more involved as a result, because you just see, you're just like, why would no one listen to this person? And it's tragic that it came to this now, that all this has gone wrong because nobody was willing to listen to this person because we're all too busy doing this, that, and the other. And, and on the other side, you can spend a lot of time with people. Horrible, tragic things happen to that person. Like, horrible. But that's more traditional. There's a lot of games where the person just murder the fucker, and now you're supposed to feel bad. But here it really does, because you never really know when that's going to happen. And there's so much you can't go into Dead Redemption 2. You have to play it through, and it's a game that I've not wanted to finish, because just when that story comes to an end, I just not wanting. I just don't want to get there.
God, I hate that feeling. I know it so well, and I've had so many unfinished games because of it.
Yeah. And Astrobot, man. Astrobot.
Yeah. Especially here, because just the way certain aspects of the story go, you're like, if I continue further with the story, I'm not going to get to interact with some characters the same way ever again.
Garri won't platinum Witcher 3 because of that.
Yeah, I haven't platinumed it. All I have to do is, I'm literally at the end of the game on the hardest difficulty. All I have to do is go fight the final boss. And I don't want to, because I want to have a reason to come back to that game at some point in time.
This is like, what, a year and a half now?
Yeah, I totally understand that from this standpoint, because, Smash Brothers recently has taken like precedent into doing that. But twice now, I've had two good runs with Redemption 2 where I've just really got into it and got back to, but just it gets to this point and you don't want to carry it on, not just because of yourself and seeing the end of the story and it being over, because obviously the stuff and there's Red Dead Online and whatever, but because you don't want to see the end in the same way, because that there's stuff you don't want to see happen, and there's stuff is going to happen because the fact that this is a prequel, and that colors a lot of how you feel.
Four words: Final Fantasy.
In a lot of
Crisis
instances, this would be a problem. You would be like, well, I already know what's going to happen, so what's any of this worth? Here, it's like, I've built up such a connection with this group and these people. It's like, it's always in the back of your mind with certain characters. We're like, well, I never saw this character in the other game, so what happens to them? What happens to them? Do they just disappear into the ether, or do they, get tragically killed? And that's it. You want to love each character, but you're very aware of those people you met in Red Dead Redemption and those you didn't, and you're like, shit. And I think with there's certain characters, where you do see 2010 game, and you're like, damn, how did you get to this point? And it's fascinating to see. It really is. It's a remarkable game. It reminds me very much as being an evolution of what GTA 4 did, in terms of being a very rich environment, where that game was not very, it was criticized for not being very open. but it was a very deep game. And Garri, I am resident, by the way. But yeah, this does both. It has a very big open world, but it also still manages to maintain that sense of character. And you spend so much time, you willingly spend time with people, doing stuff with them that just, you don't know what the reward will be. The reward is often nothing as well in Red Dead Redemption 2. And that's fascinating that the game can just draw you into it so much without any, no XP counter clicking over, no, oh, you've earned this amount of dollars, you've earned these secret stash of weapons, loot boxes, whatever. It rewards you with the knowledge you have gained from that little story segment, and you come to love characters. It just feels very pure, and it seems almost at odds with Red Dead Online, which is very much more a continuation of what GTA Online did, where you're making a game that will make you money for many, many years to come, and is a result of GTA 5 being in the charts 5 years after it came out. And that's there, but the single player game here, more than GTA 5, is just so beautiful and so beautifully done, and there's just so much to it that it's a shame for me if anyone does feel like it's too slow and too laborious and nothing's going right, because it's just such a beautiful game. And God of War had been my game of the year for most of the year and this has just sort of slowly crept up. It's like, yeah, it's like I feel like I've barely of Red Dead Redemption 2, and it's still so much.
Isn't there rumours that Red Dead will be the DLC?
Yeah, there is rumours of it. Yeah, and
I doubt it, but
I mean, they promised DLC for GTA 5 single player, and that never happened. I think there's more chance of it here, just because I don't think Red Dead Online is going to be as successful as GTA Online, because the modern environment of GTA Online makes more sense in terms of how.
No, I just figured out how they can make it as popular. Horse armor. Horse armor DLC for Red Dead Redemption 2, but instead of like traditional like Skyrim looking armor or something like that, it's like a Ferrari or.
I was thinking of not horse armor then, but horse and carts, but the carts are shaped like modern day cars.
Yes, even better.
like Legend of
I got
Korra.
my Ferrari wagon wheel, boys.
She's got 3 horsepower. Wow.
That's my pick there. Red Dead Redemption.
I mean, that's pretty fast for a Ferrari.
I would prefer a Mustang with 4 horsepower Mustang. That's what I want.
I want my Bugatti.
An 1867.
Ben?
Yeah.
Yeah, Ben. What's next? Do you have another pick?
I didn't really play it much, but I don't really have any more picks. But I feel like I should say Monster Hunter World. So I'm gonna go with Monster Hunter World.
I think
You've never played it.
Yeah, but I think it's right to point it out as a general pick, because I know you.
I own it. I didn't know anyone who invited me to play it though.
Yeah,
Wow, that's.
I played it after everyone else. So the same.
Oh, I can talk about it. I played it when it came out. Yeah. Monster Hunter World.
As have I.
Yeah, that's a fantastic game.
I enjoyed it, but I said I could only play with randomers and I got bored.
It has a weird setup for playing with your friends. It's complicated when it doesn't need to be complicated. It's really stupid.
Yeah,
it's like
kind of a pain.
It's like Dark Souls multiplayer, trying to play with your friends. It's all messed up.
Kind of like how Devil May Cry 5 multiplayer is going to be.
I didn't want to talk about that. But anyways, no. It's kind of what we talked about with Dragon Quest, where Square Enix has been unsuccessful in making it popular outside of Japan. Capcom has made Monster Hunter popular outside of Japan with Monster Hunter World. They succeeded in what they were trying to do. Yeah.
That blindsided everybody with what it was, like how popular it got.
I mean, it's now beyond Street Fighter in terms of sales.
Yeah.
Because of Monster Hunter World alone. So that tells you a lot about how popular it's become.
Yeah, and it's great because they've been trying to break through the North American market for a long time now with Monster Hunter, and they finally done it.
They even get a movie now that doesn't make any sense.
Of course. Paul Anderson likes to ruin things, so
fucking hate that guy.
I'm so glad he never got his Castlevania. But anyway, but yeah, no, it's a game that's primarily been dominated on the Nintendo hardware. Yeah. So coming back, because it did start off on the PS2, and then it migrated over to Nintendo consoles.
I mean, it has been predominantly a handheld game for most of it.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just done so many good things. It's so much fun hunting these monsters, watching them. It's like, how can I describe it?
It's like in a how can I put it? In a weird way, for me, it encapsulates the hunter's experience. Yeah. In a fun, arcadey, honestly Capcom-esque way. Because you go to a location where a beast is supposed to be, and you're hunting a specific type of beast. And so that's your mission. You're supposed to go out and either kill it or capture it for the parts, because that's what the people on this island use for basically everything. All the technology they have is pretty much monster-based. Their armor, their weapons, things like that. But it's like these are animals that, like us, they've come to depend on to survive. Their pelts, their meat, everything. And it grasps that feeling because hunters from all over the world are coming here, hence Monster Hunter World. But they're all coming here to seek glory as hunters. So their missions are, in fact, you go out on these quests for these animals, you find their tracks, you find their nests even, or where they hunt other animals, and then you have to hunt them, and you have various hunters' traps, and your main weapons, you can be. They have a variety of wild, over-the-top anime-style weapons, from swords that are 3 times as big as you, to axes that are 4 times bigger than that, to giant Gatling crossbow guns. But they're all made with, again, these monsters' technology and gunpowder that are made from the monster hides. They've created this world, this living, breathing world. And there's so much depth in it within the story and the lore of all the hunters before it, and the gameplay coincides with that. Like it blends perfectly together, and it's just it pulls you in, and you just want to keep going out on these hunts with your friends. And yeah, dude, it was an overwhelming experience for me. I haven't finished it. I haven't finished the main storyline, but every time I was able to go out with Garri and Tim, or I don't know if I ever did play with you, Ben.
No, they never invited me.
I don't think. Did you ever tell us?
We never knew. Yeah, we never knew you had it, man.
Yeah,
I did the first review stuff with you, Garri.
Did you really?
Yeah.
I thought it was from the beta.
You did, but you dropped off, I thought.
No, I had it on my PS4, and then nobody. It's like, oh yeah.
Live guilt trip.
We're terrible people. We are terrible people, Ben. I am so sorry.
No, I didn't know you guys were playing it.
We played it a couple times. We got a couple good matches early on. I know that Tim had a group that I think he still plays with, and they're like, Tim was day one, and they're super high level. They've got all of all of the events armors and things like that. I think Tim has a hardcore group he plays with. I never got that far into it, but what I did play of it was fantastic. I was super impressed with it. Yeah. And Capcom, kudos to them for bringing what I felt was a long dead franchise, except for the really niche hardcore players. And Capcom's just like, oh, here, rest of the world, check this out. It's hunt monsters with us, and it was like, oh wow, and it was a hit. Kudos.
Yeah, it was a huge hit. It's got a huge expansion pack coming out next year. But yeah, it's like you said, it's that adrenaline of placing traps and learning and studying the monster you're supposed to hunt, because you can't just go in with your sword swinging expecting to win.
No,
That's
not
how
for
you
the
will lose.
for the higher level hunts. You're dead.
Yeah, you have to study the monsters. You have to find out what their weakness, their habitat, and you have to prepare accordingly to, like, where does it go hunt? I can set up a trap here that can capture it or stun it, put it to sleep. You have to learn to do these things because you can't just go in and hit shit. That's not how this game works. And it's multiplied when you're playing with your friends because everybody has their job to do. You know, one of us will go in and keep the monster distracted while the other two go and set up traps, and then the other fourth one will try to lure it into those traps. Everybody has a specific role to play, and it's designed so well to implement all these roles for,
and the focus is so much on planning, for what you're gonna hunt, instead of, like you said, you can't just equip, what the fuck, like, oh, this is the strongest looking armor, I like this sword, and go out and expect
because it's not about that. It's not about having the hardest hitting weapon or the best defensive armor, because you'll go into a monster that doesn't care about your defense, it's shooting acid at you, and you die in like 5 seconds because you're not prepared for that, or it sets you on fire and your armor doesn't protect against fire. It's not about any of that. You have to study the monsters. You have to know their strengths and their weaknesses and use that against them.
Again, something that for a game that's not like that, like just go in and hit stuff, for it to do as well as it did, again, I'm amazed, because it got people that aren't normally into games like this into this series.
Yeah, totally agree. So it's a really good game. That ecosystem it employs is fascinating because there's just so many layers. Just monsters, animals even have their own little routines and ways they will hunt, and avoid others, and it's great just to see it. Yeah, it has this very gamified thing to it in terms of what you do in that world. It's great. You just can't deny that about it. It does so much right. It's understandably up there in terms of the games of the year because of it. Just because it came at the beginning of the year has kind of hurt it a little bit, but I think in terms of sales, it will do very well. In terms of critical acclaim, maybe it'll feature lower down a lot of this, just because so much has come since. In a year where it's been ridiculous, there have been so many games.
Yeah, and it still is kind of standing out on its own.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. So yeah, what's that not well? That's Garri next.
That's Garri next, huh? Man. Well, that's Monster Hunter. That's what I was going to pick. I'm glad it Ben picked it. Most of the big stuff that I truly, truly enjoyed have already been picked by other people, but there is one small little game that I got to play this year only because I wanted to experience a visual novel type of game.
Oh, no. Oh, my God. Are you serious? I was about to say that jokingly. I can't believe it.
Yeah.
Please pick now. I want to know.
And I picked. The review was available, so you know what? And it was one of the best decisions I ever made. And the game I'm talking about is called Punchline. And Punchline. Yep.
I was seriously about to say that as a joke.
It's based on an anime of the same name. They got all the same voice actors into the game as well. It's never been dubbed. It's still in Japanese. But it was a huge critical success and commercial success in Japan as a manga. So they turned it into an anime. But, oh my God, this is probably one of the funniest games I've played in a very, very long time. to the point where I was actually in tears from some of the shit that was going on in this game. Yeah, thank you for posting my review. So it's
first image is basically
a carrot.
yeah. No, it's about this kid who is just hanging out on this bus, and he gets, attacked by this terrorist organization, or they call it a cult that's doing terrorist activities. And this female hero who you see on that cover, I don't remember what they call her, actually. She has a crazy funny name. But she's there to kind of help you and save the day. Strange Juice, that's her name. Strange Juice.
Wow.
And essentially what happens is there's the scuffle on this bus. It has fantastic anime cutscenes. Like, the action anime cutscenes are very well done. Very good animation. But, so what happens is, on this bus, it essentially crashes, and Strange Juice is about to get killed. So the main character, Utah, or Utah. Anyway, Utah. He goes in and saves her by pushing the guy who's about to kill her out of the window of the bus, and they fall into a river. And essentially, he believes he survives, but what happens is somebody who died enters his body and pushes his soul out of it. So he's pretty much a ghost, and somebody else is living in his body. Cool. And he lives in this dorm room, which is occupied by 4 other women, and he's the only male there. And he doesn't realize that one of the girls is Strange Juice, and one of the other girls is an android who is helping Strange Juice, and the other one is this fake medium who's pretending to be, a medium, pretty much. But she inherently has these powers through her bloodline, but she herself can't use these powers. She got screwed over by it. And essentially, he's trying to get back into his body, but he can't because there's these seals that prevent spirits from entering. So whoever entered his body knows that he's trying to get back into his body. Okay. And the whole point is the world is going to end, and he knows the world is going to end. There's this cat that comes up and tells him, hey, the world is going to end, and you have to get into your body to stop it. That's literally the premise of the show.
I mean, so far, to be honest, Garri, told me that premise while I was out. I my fate, to be honest, to just die.
Well, he didn't get to the best part yet. It gets better.
Yeah, so pretty much he has this problem where, for some reason, if he looks at a woman's panties, he ends the world himself. Like, the world just dies. Like, it explodes.
That was an ultra problematic sticker, just given out there.
Yeah, so he's essentially a pervert who can't do the pervert thing because the world ends if he does. And
that's peak.
It has these crazy gameplay mechanics where the camera kind of forces you to look at these, shots of the women in, specific positions, and you have to force the camera away from it. It's automatically trying to move into these shots, and if you're there for too long, the world ends and you got to start over. And the cat tells you you're an idiot and to control yourself. And he's like, I can't. And the cat's like, you don't even have a penis anymore. How are you still doing this? Because like the bottom half of his body is like the little Odie ghost thing.
Oh my word!
You guys just don't get how fucking funny this game is. Like, there is just some moments where there's a moment in the game where the medium girl is going on this date, and you're supposed to get specific information, but the only way to do it is you have to possess her to get this information. So as you possess her, the guy who's dating, who's going on this date, he asks the other girls about the stuff that she likes. so he does better. He performs better on the date. And at this moment, you're the one who possesses her. So when they come and they ask you these questions, you get to pick what the answer is. And it's the most ridiculous answers you can have. So at the point towards the end of and when the date finally starts happening, you're not in her body anymore. And she's on this date, but you're watching this date. And essentially what had happened is I picked the things that she liked. So she liked listening to hardcore rock, I believe it was, while somebody marinades her with sumo wrestlers' names. While
hey. Do you mean serenade?
Yes, serenade. Sorry.
I can't breathe.
I'm quite glad.
It's so marinated. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Changing context completely.
While feeding her, what was it? I think it was like a jalapeno popper or something like that. I don't remember.
I was going to say chicken seasoning, probably.
And those are the decisions I made. And it's not because I wanted to make, it's because they were in Japanese, so I had no idea what the hell I was thinking.
Of course.
Dude, it could have been serenades or marinades.
I was in tears at this entire scene playing out because it was the facial reactions that she had about the stuff that was going on. And for me too, because I don't know what I picked. So he just starts randomly naming off names. I'm like, what the hell is going on? And then it starts going into their waist size and how big they were when they were sumo wrestling. And I was like, what the fuck is happening? But yeah, I was in tears. And I was on the headset with Tim, and I don't know if Chris was there, but he can vouch. I couldn't breathe for quite a while.
Oh my god! Yeah, I was there. You sent me some pictures of one of what the cat said was really funny about slapping you with the penis or something like that.
God.
Oh man!
I'm telling you, it was one of the funniest games I've ever played. And I really want to watch the anime just because it sounds really stupid, but towards the end of it, the story is actually very, very good. When you really look at the whole of what's going on with this cult terrorist organization, who Strange Juice really is, obviously she's a superhero, but you find out that every time she dons the outfit and she gains these powers, that it does something very negative to her. And it's actually a very touching and sad moment. And there's other characters, and you learn about them. There's a serial killer on the loose, and he's kind of targeting one of the girls at the house that you're living in. And honestly, there's really an in-depth, very good story in this game that's just kind of hidden behind all this comical relief that's also there. It's almost kind of like Buffy the Vampire Slayer in a way, where it's very funny, but it also has these emotional moments, very deep emotional moments. But yeah, I gotta tell you guys, I'm so glad I took this, and it's probably one of the best visual novel games I will ever play. I know there's a lot of good ones out there like Steins Gate and stuff like that, but this one really did some stuff for me, and I absolutely love it.
Can I just say, Gary, I'm really glad that you are saying it and talking seriously about it, because I know that the visual novel style games aren't really, popular. No, they're not popular even enough to have a category on the, the Game Awards, obviously, but they are otherwise a very popular genre among millions of people around the world. It's not really a niche category anymore. There are quality games out there now coming out like this, and yeah, I love that you're mentioning it, because I think people need to kind of be more open to different gaming experiences. And visual novels are a perfect example. There's a reason that Fate Stay Night is as big as it is now, and all because it was originally just a visual novel.
Yeah.
And so a lot of great things can come from them, and they're actually a great storytelling device. So I approve. You talked when you reviewed it. You talked me into it, and I still am looking forward to playing it because it just sounds like a phenomenal experience.
Yeah, and the scene that you're talking about with the cat is the cat was mad at you because your actual body, whoever possesses your body, is not paying rent. And you're like, well, you're a cat living in this house and you don't pay rent. And the cat responds if by paying rent you mean washing my dick, then yes. That was literally the line.
But that was it. The picture that Garri sent me was just the image of the cat, like mid pose, saying, "If you mean paying rent by washing my dick, then yes." And I'm like, what does this even mean? It was the most out of context random thing I've ever seen in my life. Oh.
Right. And the only thing Chris responded with was yes.
Yes.
In the interest of time, we should probably move on. Yeah, Alfonso.
I have no more picks.
He has no more picks. So that goes to me by default.
I feel like we should wrap up soon now.
Okay, well, I just want to pick this one more game.
Okay.
Just one more. Just one more.
I'll give you one more game.
Actually, I want two, but
fine. I'll give you two more games.
All right, I'm gonna pick two. Yeah, I'm gonna pick two in one game. Like I said.
Oh my 80. God! Don't do 101 games, because then you'll get Cheetah Men.
They're not all that. In fairness, they're not all that good. You know. But first up, Death Road to Canada.
See, this is why I let you have it. I knew it.
Yeah. So, I was talking earlier about games in general, like certain other games I picked. Death Road to Canada is another. It's a roguelike in a lot of ways, but it's also very much like a text adventure of the old 80s style, in terms of it has that in between. So
you have died of dysentery.
Yeah, I mean, Christ, this is it. There is stuff like that.
My friend streamed that for the 24 hour, not the Death Road, but the one that gives you dysentery. I can't remember what the name was called now.
Oregon
Trail.
And I actually my character got it, and I survived. And they're like, how?
Is it because you've been eating all those spicy? I... the only way I could think you survive. Anyway, Death Road to Canada is right. On one side of things is a text event where you pick your option. It's like, oh, this thing has happened. What do you decide to do about this thing that's happened to you and your group as they go on the Death Road to Canada in a zombie apocalypse? Basically, the idea is you are traveling to Canada where it is supposedly safe and get you safe from a zombie-infested America. So there is that side of it where you're traveling in your car, and you get choices to.
So it's based on a true story.
Sure. And so you get your little things to do there, but in between you will have to go on survival runs in a sort of isometric. Where you'll take your party to go to certain areas. It's like you decide if you're going to go to this place, or this place, and loot the place for fuel, supplies, and obviously as you do this, swarms of zombies to avoid while you do it, and you can lose party members while you do this. And again, going back to what we said about Dead Cells earlier, where it's finishing the game isn't really the fun of it. You have that is the main objective. To get there is going to take a lot. Here is the same. Like to get to Canada takes a certain amount of days of travel, and you had to be in a car to travel fast enough to get there in that time. If your car breaks down or whatever, then you're walking, and therefore it's longer to get to the point you want to be. And along the way, you will have to pick up food for your party to survive. You will have to pick up supplies in terms of getting to heal. And for weaponry as well. Depending on how it goes, what decisions you make is what you get out of that situation. And therefore, every time you go through this run, trying to get to Canada, it doesn't work necessarily a lot of the time, because you get to that point where you feel like you are confident enough everything will work out, and you carry on making it. But you'll always forget something. Always will have something you didn't quite get. That might be fuel. That might be you walking on the road and get ambushed by some bandits. You lose out on a lot of your equipment, which means the next time you come into a zombie encounter, you are fucked, basically. Or it might just be that you try to fix your car without your current character that want to do it having the required skill to repair a car, and they shock themselves into a point of high damage. There's a lot of that. There's just a lot of humor to every situation, where it's like dark humor, and each character can injure themselves or die even.
Okay.
I think we lost Neil.
I think we lost Neil.
Undead.
Okay.
This guy was a bit of an
To
arrogant
be
twat
fair,
about
Alfonso was
how
sounding a
good
bit
he
like
was
a
at fixing
random
cars, and he
Oh,
burned
okay.
his nipples to death trying to do it. It happened. And this game is very much proof of that. And
I don't think he stopped. We lost you for a minute there, Neil, and then you just kind of came back
He just came
in.
back to burning the nipples. Okay.
Well, I came in at the best. I came in at the best moment. Where did you lose me?
Something about
Right before the burning nipples, man.
Yeah, right before the burning nipples.
I don't know. It depends how long I was.
It was like 10 seconds. You weren't gone that long.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so basically, Death Road to Canada is really good at taking the piss out of zombie apocalypses and the whole idea of how people survive together and their interactions together. And you can make the characters that go into it as well. So you can create a pool of characters who are. So if you want your friends to be in it, Garri, they can fail spectacularly, as they do in most video games. And
Like XCOM.
yeah, and you can blame them.
You blame me for everything anyway.
Did you make
You
a
do
team
what?
with us, by the way, Neil?
Yeah, but this is what I mean.
Yeah.
It randomly get so you can make everyone you know to be characters that might appear in the game.
Did
They
any
might
of
be
us
people.
appear?
Yeah, it's like those characters might appear in the game as survivors that you pick up. They might appear as people that do trading and some trading posts for you. But yeah, it's cool in that regard, because if you get the little personality traits right, it's funny how they react to each other. It's a really simple system, but it works so well, and it's just so pleasing. And I think that's what I love about Death Road to Canada. Just encapture.
And don't forget to mention, too, during the release was delayed of that game, if you remember, due to the what was the
shooting? I think it was.
Yeah, like the developers were wanted to delay it out of a respect. I know a lot of people had a problem with it, but I kudos to the developers for trying to be respectful about everything.
Yeah.
At least they tried to be honorable about it.
That's it. I totally agree on that. It is honourable to do. It's the game that has really stuck. Yeah, I'll quickly go through my other here because I had to pick it because it would be criminal not to mention Hitman 2 and how bloody good Hitman 2 is. It's more of the same. It's still, if you loved Hitman 2016 and everything that did in terms of just being a murder sandbox, this is more of that and so much more than that. And it's just great for it. And yeah, it's still fantastic as games go. Hitman 2 deserves a lot of praise and credit that it got. Again, it's another game that suffers for coming out when it did. And
I think that's been a problem with Hitman its entire existence.
yeah.
Always coming out at the wrong fucking time.
You never want to come out at the wrong time. Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba.
It does. You would always have an audience now. I think, what it is that really love it. I know plenty of people at the time discussing that just adore it, everything it does, and that's cool. I'm glad there are people that ignored other games for its sake. I mean, I was adoring. We've talked about how much I love Dead Redemption 2, and yet Hitman 2 came out just 4 weeks later, and I forgot about Red Dead in that time for a week or two because I just so enjoyed my time with Hitman because it's just the excitement of going every level in that place, really doing new things in it is
always find some new way. Always find some new way.
Yeah, life finds a way to kill life.
Even recently with the Sean Bean based Elusive Target has been amazing. I mean, successful. I killed Sean Bean.
It's not hard to do, apparently. He dies in everything.
In real Hitman, it is. Yeah, it's really hard. That's what I mean. But yeah, I did not make a elegant job of it, but I still did it. What I love about the game, it just takes some absurd measures with the idea of murder.
For my 2 cents, Neil, really quick, you're preaching to the choir for me. I have always loved Hitman. I absolutely love the Hitman series. One of these days when we have more time, I would love to wax on about Hitman a lot more, but kudos to you for mentioning it. That series, that game as a whole, is one of those old school games that you should go back and if you have a chance, check out any of the earlier games you may have missed. They're all fun. They're all fun. They're all great. It's a fantastic series. Even the bad ones are fantastic.
There you go.
There is the bad Hitman.
Exactly.
Even Hitman Go was good.
Yeah, no, exactly. Even the bad ones are great.
But what about the movie?
The original game.
Even the movies were good. Come on.
I don't know. I
Don't talk anymore. I think you're done, Chris.
All right, I'll stop.
Yeah, no. I think I spoke to this to Ben before. It's like having special episodes on certain games.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd love to do one. Absolutely love to do one.
Hitman would be very good.
Hitman 2 currently $30 on PSN.
Yeah, you go.
There you go, Garri. Go buy it.
I already did.
Yeah, Hitman 2. Yeah, if it wasn't just more of the same, then it would probably be Game of the Year, without a doubt. But
and it comes with all the missions from the first one, right?
Yeah, and they're evolved. They're not just as they were. Like all the new stuff that is in Hitman 2 carries over into these games, into the old missions, and
they
crazy.
Remastered Hitman 1.
Yeah, exactly. Without any extra additional people who already bought it, and I said this with the original Hitman. It's like it's one of the best games as a service games there were, for what they kept adding to it and this is just proof purchase of everything they can do well. And I agree. We will have to talk about this as a series in the future properly. Mm-hmm. It is a fantastic game, Hitman 2, and deserves. As we are coming to the end, I just want to mention a couple of things.
If you want to do your shout outs and
before I do shout outs, I just remember couple of games here and there that didn't get mentioned. I mentioned Yakuza 6 was a very good game. The Persistence and the Exorcist VR were two very great VR games that deserve so much more. They were two pinnacles of horror VR. Shadow of the Colossus, the remake, was just splendid. Yeah, how could you not love that game? It is amazing.
I didn't even know it was out this year, to be honest.
I know, that's why we were talking about this the other day with JP, and I said, I almost can't believe that it came out this year, because I love it, but it seems like a million miles ago. But again, I played so many games since then, it is understandable.
All I know is I can't wait to shout out Crash Team Racing next year.
Oh.
Yes.
Well, talking of actually good racing games, Onrush also deserves a mention here, because Onrush, honestly, is the best. It's really good.
Isn't it free right now on Plus?
It is, and it is amazing.
Neil, too, can I throw in there Burnout Paradise Remastered?
Yeah, I mean that.
Yes.
Onrush is the perfect continuation of that idea. It's like, it's not about being first; it's about being the most stylish motherfucker. It's like SSX Tricky meets Burnout, you know, and that mashed together, and that's why it's great.
the best SS Tricky.
Yes.
I disagree, just simply because Rush is just it works.
Warframe's my favourite Tony Hawk's game.
All this talk is making me miss Motorstorm.
I miss
yeah, and there's a bit of that.
I love those two. The first two are great.
A little bit of that, just a tidge.
Yeah. Final two mentions: Vampire by Don't Nod.
I still want to play that.
It's very good, and I will also mention quickly Prey Mooncrash as probably the best piece of DLC expansion of the year, because superb. That's it. Yeah, that's it. In terms of shout-outs, outside of that, you can find me as an editor on bloodydisgusting.com, where there's plenty of I like it.
Wow. They asked what?
bloodydisgusting.com, right? Or what's your Twitter account?
My Twitter account is at Nesco. That's NEZZ.
I meant Bloody Disgusting as well.
Oh yeah, well that's self-explanatory.
It might be, but there's still people out there that want to know.
Yeah, so it's sorry, I'll get there. I just sorry, it's
not Bloody Disgusting, dude.
Sure, it's not.
There might be an underscore for all we know.
Actually, it's at BD, both capital letters, disgusting, at B disgusting.
Oh,
so
twists.
Twists and turns.
I don't know anything. Don't listen.
So yes, you can find all my stuff there, and other writers stuff there. Lots of talented writers with lots of great writing on there. So yeah, including PSU's own JP Jones. So yeah, that's mine.
Alfonso.
It's great to be back. I love it so much. This being on today just makes me feel so welcome. Shout out to the listeners, to all the followers. Shout out to PSU, all the members. Please follow them. They're amazing at what they do. Neil, it's been a pleasure. I'm glad that both of us got to be on for the Game of the Year episode.
Yeah.
Ben for always being God. For Chris for always being him, always making me laugh. And to Garri, fight what you think of me. I still love you, crazy ass.
I still love you too. What the hell, man? Despite what you think of me. What, do you think I hate you? Alfonso,
Yeah,
I miss you every day.
Alfonso, we love you.
Yeah.
All of us.
I printed
Except for
a
Garri.
photograph from your Twitter account just so I can look at it when I'm not on my phone.
At night, in bed, and on the toilet.
I had to stop him from making a pajama set with your face on it. I said,
Oh
no,
my
Garri.
God.
He was like, dude, had his tongue out between his legs spread on the floor, coloring in dolly clothes that he thought you'd look cute in, with a marker and going outside the line.
I'm like, no, he
It was
doesn't
adorable.
want you to wear his face on your pants, okay?
Also, shout out to Tim.
He just moves on.
Doing better. I hope you're doing better. And it's sad that you couldn't be on today's episode, but we miss you. I love you.
Yeah, shout out to
him. Garri, I guess.
Yeah, shout out to you guys for having me on. Neil, always great, good to have you back. Always fun, always fun. Alfonso, despite of what you may think of me, I still love you. Great to have you back. I did genuinely miss you and your awesome voice and your awesome story, which fortunately we didn't get of today. I still hope to get a story from you. But yeah, Chris, thanks for being on again. It's always fun when you agree and disagree with me.
I love you too, Garri. I've waited to hear those words for so long.
I finally acknowledge Tim. Or, God damn it, Chris. You are the same person now. Tim, I hope you're feeling better, man. Missed you on this podcast. It's been, I think, 2 podcasts in a row now, man. WTF. But yeah, and listeners, of course, as always. And you can reach me at Gaglalush, that's GAGLAUSH, on Twitter and Instagram.
Can I give a quick shout out to Carmelo and R-Truth for Xmas Challenge? There you go.
Chris, have you got shout outs and how can they stalk you?
My shout outs to you guys. Love it. Neil and Alfonso, it's great to have you both back, at least for this occasion, and hopefully again in the near future. I love you both so much. Love your stories and insights, and yeah. Garri, love you too. Ben, you're my new favorite. Tim, love you, man. Miss you. To all the friends, fans, family, everyone out there who supports us. If you want to stalk me, you can reach me at Twitter at Devangel. That's DEVANGIEL.
Yeah.
And Ben, on to the monologue.
Okay. I want to shout out to Phoenix Down Radio, Klaus. Go check out phoenixdownradio.com. Shout out to twitch.tv/Maelstrom they've just recently rebooted their podcast. Go check them out. They just had an esports presenter on their show this week, actually. Go check out twitch.tv/SheHillsITank. Amazing folk. They're the folk that helped me get to Vegas, so thank you again. That was amazing of you. A shout out to twitch.tv/Moogar Radio. We're going separate from Phoenix Down from 2019, so we're going to be an independent podcast. So yeah, go check us out when we get a website, which will be coming sometime in 2019.
Exciting.
Yes, it's scary and exciting. So also go follow me on Twitter, MGR_Chille. That is me. Yay! Oh, and we're ending now, right?
I think that's it.
I want to give one big warning to everyone that exists at every moment in time, because this needs a warning. And this is how I'll end the podcast, with a downbeat sadness. Please do not fall into the big scam that's going on right now. Don't listen to that guy about his new console. It's not a new console. It's a scam. So please don't buy it. I don't even want to mention his name.
You don't be fooled by that soldier boy.
He's going to crank that scam till it bleeds to death. Just go buy a PS4 Pro instead. It's cheaper. It really is cheaper. And it's better because you won't get arrested. So till next week. Superman that eardrum. I don't know. Bye.
Ta-ra.